Good evening, and yous have got two wee random smiles on your face. Good evening, and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. Welcome all everybody, all of yours watching and stuff. I'm joined by Stephen and Ross. We were kind of chatting off air about the last time the three of us were on together with James, and Stephen had his best part ever. But we'll not talk about that again, Stephen, will we?
No, it was embarrassing. I should be left firmly in the shite bench and chucked in the bin. Do you know what I mean? But
it can be a very
looking forward to tonight. Exactly, it can be. I'm looking forward to getting stuck in all things Celtic. There's a mad interference in my mic. I have no idea what it is, but looking forward to it. 100% Franny.
And how you doing, Stephen? I think you were quite say how you were doing anyway. How's your week been?
It's been good. I mean, I had 2 days off work there, which was good. Done a lot of walking, back into walking again, listening to some podcasts and, chilling out, back into the kind of, what do you call it, self-care type shit at the minute. So, I'm on the Coke Zero tonight, no alcohol, which is a miss, but, looking forward to chatting about Celtic and having a good laugh with you.
Good stuff. And yourself, Ross, how's your week been?
The less said about my week, the better. So I
oh well.
I mean, as you know, I got a new motor at the start of the year, and Sharon was driving home from work in it the other night, and I wasn't there, so I didn't know if it. But she said that somebody braked really hard in front of her, and she braked and felt like she couldn't stop in time. She's all right, but she swerved to miss the car in front of her and smacked the alloy into the curb, damaged all the alloy in the wheel, so to get a full new wheel, which was a pretty penny.
Cheap.
I was really pleased with that. Delighted. 2 months we got out of the car and then she absolutely melted. But there you go.
We could have, see if I knew that, Ross, we could have done a pet peeve. We could have done a pet peeve and that could have been your wee pet peeve for the day. But I did not hear that, but cars are just never, as soon as you turn the key, a car's expensive and stuff. But as you seen, I'd put on the group chat today, I'd got a few tips off work and stuff. I had a 5 free bet with Sky and the Gold Cup, that Deschamps horse, it was one at the last 2 years, was a stick on, I was led to believe. TalkSport, everybody in TalkSport had it nailed on for winning. I think Harry Redknapp even was quoted as saying yesterday all the horses could start running now and they'll still get beat off this horse. So I just had to wait on that horse for 554 quid for a 5 free bet, and it fucking came second. So a great day. It's a fucking great day.
That's unbelievable, eh? That's the
I know. I mean, it's a free bet, so it's no money doing in that, but it'd have been a nice wee lift off a free bet at the end of the day. But we'll just get moving on. We'll come to the podcast and we'll just kind of start, Stephen, with it's obviously Derby weekend and stuff. You can just get him totally put off of this interference, isn't you? You can tell.
I don't know what it is. I'm all right.
I am all right. You can, Stephen's end, I think, anyway. But no, we'll just come to you, Stephen. Just, as I said, Derby weekend coming up. In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing to do like the league campaign. It's not got to have a major impact on that, but it'll just be nice to obviously extend that lead to 19 points, maybe right or wrong from the previous game. But before we kind of get on all of that, just kind of got to start with a Derby Day memory for you. It can be anything. It can be a goal. It can be a defeat. Just anything.
I mean, in regards to the interference, first of all, it sounds like someone has a leaf blower in my ears and it's going.
There's a hairdryer going in the next room in my house.
That's what it is. Then it sounds like there's a gardener outside going mental with the leaves, and every time I go to speak, it's coming on. No, but like I was thinking about this when you put it into the chat, and you could rhyme off games. I mean, you could look back at the game that caused the away allocation to be cut when Odsonne Edouard scored the winning goal when we were 10 men down. A Rodgers kind of masterstroke with tactics and things like that. But one goal that always sticks with me, I think it was 2006-07. I think it was that season, was Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh. The goal, that the kind of half volley strike from about 30 yards out. and it just rippled past Callum McGregor. It was an absolutely fantastic goal, and they're the type of things that kind of stand out in these fixtures. You look back in the years gone by. Chris Sutton, Henrik Larsson with that famous chip, unbelievable. And, you come up to the more present tense, and like I said, Odds and Edward, Dembele, the Hun scalper. Do you know what I mean? Lee Griffiths even played his part before. So, I thought about it, and the one that stuck out for me the most was just Nakamura, just that strike, and you can just see it in your mind playing out. The ball breaks to him, he hits it, and it's an absolute wonder strike. And as you said, thinking about these games, it draws up so much emotion, especially off the back of an absolute doing at Ibrox when we were dog shit beyond belief, and kind of you just want to take revenge. And Rodgers just spoke about this, and we'll get into it more depth when we go later on in the podcast. But there's so much things you just want to do to them, and get that victory. And goals like Nakamura's goals would be fantastic to have on Sunday.
I think it's actually a good one as well, Tim, because Nakamura was kind of, I don't know if he was coming under stick round about them, but it was always kind of questioned. He never really turned up in this fixture, I feel like, and he turned up in a really big game in that season because it was a game we had to win to keep any chance of winning the league going up, because I think we played Rangers about 3 times in the space of about 11 days. If I'm thinking of the same year, but there was a time we had to beat them pretty much every game, and we played them just the way games getting postponed and things like that. I think we played them 3 times in the space of 11 days or something and won every game. But me and Ross had our season ticket at that time, and it was one of the shots that it's just that where our seat was, it was right behind it in the middle of the goal. So as soon as you hit it, you knew it was in. But I'll come to yourself, Ross. Any ones that kind of particularly stick out for you? That, as I say, could be a goal, be a game, whatever.
Well, it's a bit of both, I suppose. There's 2 kind of came to mind the day when you said about that. The first one kind of sort of coincides a wee bit with the season now, although it's probably flipped on its head, and that Celtic were having a good run in Europe's second tier competition. Let's get that in there. But Celtic were having a good run, and Rangers were obviously they weren't in front of us in the league at this point, but they ended up, I think, that season with the treble. The year we got to the Youth Cup final. I don't think Rangers will do that, but it was the game. It was the Celtic Rangers game that followed when we qualified for the final after winning in Boa Vista.
But you know what that game was?
I was. Sure, we won 2-1 that day. I think John Hartson scored. I can't actually remember who scored the other goal, but the memory of that game was it. Well, obviously the beach balls and everybody had the big shades and that on, and it was passports getting handmade. It was brilliant, but at the end of the game, we'd won the game. And at that point, you're looking at it going, I can't see us losing the league for here now. But I remember, obviously, you remember Momo Silla. He was like about maybe 15 to 20 seats along for me. And he was just in the crowd, and he had the sombrero on, and he was swinging the scarf and all that. And he was getting right into it, just like a fan. It was brilliant. That was a really good memory. Obviously, what transpired after that, you would be hard pushed to see a Celtic team do that like now, and not often. But the other one that sort of sprung to mind in terms of an actual game was the CIS Cup. I want to say final, might have been semi-final. I think it was final, and it was the one. I think we won 2-0. And Henrik Larsson got I think it was Bert Conterman, he maybe got away from it, and then to flick it over the top of Kloss. He was maybe about 8 yards out, and he's managed to flick it over Kloss, and he gets it at the other side of him and brings it down, puts it into the empty net. Brilliant goal. Obviously not as good as the goal he scored in the 6-2 game, but to be able to get it over Kloss under that pressure, and then be able to keep it on the park and get it underneath the bar. It was just a brilliant goal and a great memory. I'm sure I had a bet in that game. It might have been, I think Chris Sutton had a header for a quarter. No, Ramon Vega. I
think it was Sutton, because I think the camera spanned to Ramon Vega, did it not? And it was actually Sutton that scored the goal.
Vega headed it, and it got saved or it rebounded, and then Sutton tapped it in. but I had a bet on Ramon Vega to score the first goal, and I was up, like, obviously, you're up anyway because Celtic scored. I thought Vega had opened the scoring, and then after I seen the replay, I was like, it's another bet.
Fuck yes.
But I loved Ramon Vega, but I'm sure it was the same game. We won 2-0 on the night. But a couple of good memories.
Franny, can I add something in? I know Ron Boy said there he's going back a wee bit to the 4-2 game when they won the league with 10 men.
Well, I was just going to ask him what game. I was just only bringing it up just so I can ask him what year that was, because I off memory I can't think it, and it might be just before our time. But if you can just kind of tell us and stuff, and maybe even add in the goal scorers as well, Ron Boy, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, we've done good extravaganza specials and Glasgow Derby games in the past, and one question I don't think we really asked, like the one you did, Franny, and I'll put it to both of you. I'm not taking over, by the way. I just find it interesting coming from you guys. Like within your lifetime, and you have to watch the player, of course. Who would be the one player that the Glasgow Derby game resonates the most with in your mind? Like, what does it remind you of straight away? What player kind of jumps out at you, Franny, when you think of the Glasgow Derby game?
I mean, I would probably go back to your Henrik Larsson's, Chris Sutton's, Alan Thompson always seemed to, whether it be good, bad or indifferent, always seemed to be a talking point in these games. So maybe somebody like Alan Thompson would jump out. And I mean, if you want to go on the other side, Barry Ferguson, folk might controversially hate this, but I think Barry Ferguson was a really, really good player, and he sometimes controlled these games and stuff. But for a Celtic point of view, I'm going to go Alan Thompson, because it just certainly in my lifetime anyway, that what I can certainly properly remember anyway. But he just kind of, as I say, good, bad and indifferent, it always seemed to be a talking point in this fixture.
It was always a battle between him and Rickson. They always used to end up fighting each other or headbutting each other or whatever. But Ross, what about yourself?
It's not something I've obviously put a great deal of thought into. I mean, obviously down the years for me watching it, there's different players that would pop into your mind for different periods in Celtic's history in my lifetime. But the one that popped into my head straight away first is Samaras, and just purely because of the 2 goals that I brought. But not only that, quite fitting as well. It's always one that sticks in my mind, and I still laugh every single time I see it to this day. It's when a kid's on, he's going to throw the ball into Barry Ferguson's face. Ferguson absolutely shits it, and then realises that he's not actually flung it at him, and he's like, it's brilliant. So I mean, the 2 goals obviously were fantastic, but you just don't see many things like that now. I just thought that was top drawer shithousery for Samaras, and Ferguson fell for a hook, line and sinker. Yeah,
unbelievable. Franny, back to yourself, mate.
Cheers, Stephen. But now we'll kind of get, before we get properly into the Derby and stuff, it's Derby related, but the Green Brigade earlier released a statement, and I'll just kind of read the first part, because there's 2 parts to it essentially, and they're talking about a player, I think it was a supporter or something, a guy named Barlin. The reason I'm not really going to talk about that side of the statements, I've not got a clue who the guy is, so I'll be going in very uneducated trying to discuss that bit. So I'm just going to read the first part of their sort of a statement, and I'm not read it word for word, but I'll kind of just sort of paraphrase it. They're saying, unfortunately, there'll not be a tifo on Saturday, following the refusal from the Celtic board. They're going to obviously tifo's been a big factor in these games and the European nights and things like that, but they obviously must have discussions with the Celtic board and stuff, Stephen, to what these tifos are going to be. Obviously, they talk about how when they done the one saying show Israel the red card, and how well that was received, I feel like, over many countries and stuff. But again, it seems the Celtic board opposed that, but it seems they had some sort of tifo planned for Sunday. And as I say, just reading between the lines, obviously I have no inside info whatsoever how the process of it all. But it feels like any TIFO they have to do, they have to discuss it with the Celtic board and get approval, and it seems whatever they were going to do, they've not got approval. Now, as I say, I am only second guessing that. I don't read in between the lines, but what do you kind of make of the TIFO not happening, I feel like?
It's, for me, it's a shame. It is, these kind of tifos, the kind of spectacle they create before the game, the players coming out of the tunnel and the camera pans around the stadium and you see what they've done, the creation, and let's be fair, they're very creative, they do really well with these things, and some of the tifos are absolutely unbelievable. The one with the gas mask, I think it was one of the Derby games before, was incredible. The one, I think Felipe Jota scored that game. The recent controversies, as you may call them, I don't know, in the press or whatever, like the McFarlane one, obviously, whatever, the Celtic boards took issue with that because of who he was and what he represented, and for me, I didn't see nothing wrong with them remembering someone who supported Celtic and played a major part in the Irish struggle and getting Ireland out of an armed struggle as well. He was a key player in the peace process over here, so you're celebrating someone who had an impact that way as well. And then the kind of Israel red card thing, you can't tell me that the Celtic board sanctioned that. Do you know what I'm saying? That was off their own bat, and however they done that was creative as well. And so much so, the Palestine football manager wants to play us in a friendly. So it gets recognised all over the world. What they do gets recognised, and yeah, I know people get annoyed about their statements, thinking they're entitled and they should be allowed this and allowed that. They always get special privileges and stuff. But to be fair to the Green Brigade, they did come out recently and apologise for the treatment they give fans or how they acted in the Bayern Munich game. They come out and held their hands up and were accountable. So that's a good thing. And you hope that these kind of discussions with the board are positive and are open to dialogue. But it seems like Michael Nicholson and Peter Lawwell, Chris Mackay just aren't really seemingly there to entertain what they say. And for me, it's a shame, because the Green Brigade, I'm going to be honest here, for me, we've had this discussion many times before, but it seems the Green Brigade and the boys group weren't in Parkhead, it'd be a fucking morgue. So there wouldn't be no atmosphere. When I was there recently with my brother for his first game, it was a Scottish Cup game against, I think it was Aberdeen. It was Aberdeen. And they were singing the whole match and giving it 90, and the rest of the stadium was quiet. So they're there to make an atmosphere. People are allowed not to agree with what they stand for and what they do, but they do a lot of good. We've spoken about this, their charity works, their food bank donations and things of that nature. And I highly doubt that the TIFO they had planned was something majorly offensive or was going to cause massive issue. It was probably just a dig towards them not coming back into the stadium. Something probably like that. I don't know, like yourself, Franny, just second guessing. But the fact that, again, it's come to this, and it's come to seemingly the fact that the board don't want to talk to them, for me is a complete shame. And Gillian, you're right, when they were banned, it was, I think the overall support at Celtic Park has become, in my opinion, too reliant on the Green Brigade and the boys group to create atmospheres, and when they're not there, it's like almost what they would do type thing. Do you know what I mean? So I think these people do a lot more good than they do wrong, in my opinion, and they do get fucking marginalised, and people think that, as I said, entitled or whatever. But I think it's a shame that the Celtic board aren't really talking to them at the moment for some reason.
I agree with that in the sense that the board maybe should talk to them, but then why should they be given any privilege, Ross, more than the next fan at the end of the day? But I think Celtic, to kind of try and be balanced about it, I think Celtic encourage the Green Brigade and the boys, like in the sense of they're happy to claim them and engage when it suits Celtic, it feels. But equally, I'm like, well, that is a privilege given to the fans. Now, you mentioned, Stephen, about folks say they're entitled. That I would 100% say they're entitled. I agree they do a lot of good, but 100% I would say they're an entitled fan base. They're the luckiest fan base in the world as well. You get ballots for semi-finals and finals. They manage to get tickets. They manage to come out that ballot every time. every time they make the ballot, every time they get away games, every time they get European games, always next to each other as well.
For me, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because the board obviously keep them there.
Exactly. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's entitled. You're entitled. You're getting special privileges. But I will agree with you in the sense that they do create atmosphere. Them and the boys group as well. But Ross will testify as well. I mean, I don't need to put words in his mouth, but I think he'll testify as well. We had season tickets well before the Green Brigade were about. Celtic Park was rocking then. Now, I'm not going to sit here and deny, say they both ultra groups went away tomorrow. I feel like gradually the atmosphere, yes, it would be dead for a couple of weeks, a wee while, but gradually that atmosphere, I believe, would naturally come back. So the way I look at it now is they come in with a certain songbook and when they're going to sing certain songs, and if you've got a group, I mean, I don't know how much is in the boys group and how many's in the Green Brigade, but it's quite a few folk that will make a decent bit of noise who are congregated together, so that will kind of amplify the noise. So if you're like a small section of fans or just one random guy, how do you start a chant at the end of the day when you're competing with maybe 1,000 folk? It's not as straightforward as we rely on them. It's how do you compete with that type of thing, Ross? So where are you with the? I mean, I know you are with the Green Brigade, but that's just this latest.
I'll take my headphones off.
What was that, Frank?
I was just to see where you're with us, the latest Green Brigade statement.
Well, listen, it's disappointing that they've not got a TIFO because especially in games like this, and especially when that allocation, the Rangers support is back. It's the first time they're back for a Celtic Rangers game. It's really disappointing that they've not got a TIFO. I don't know what, like obviously they have to run what TIFO they're going to be putting out there by Celtic, which is fair enough because Celtic obviously want to run the rule over what is going to be a huge display and what is basically their house, if you like. So if somebody was going to bring some sort of display to my house, I would like to know what it was before they started plastering it over the windows or something. But if I don't know what it was going to be, but for Celtic to say no to it, it's maybe been something that's obviously going to have been too offensive. Maybe it was too sectarian or whatever. I don't know. I'm not privy to that. But I mean, you are obviously talking about what the Green Brigade bring and what they don't bring, and I think we've to be honest, we've absolutely exhausted that. Everybody knows what they bring, everybody knows what they don't bring, and as for it is, they're there, and that's fine. They bring a brilliant atmosphere. But I agree with yourself, Franny, in terms it's difficult for your like fan just sitting there with maybe 2 or 3 of your pals or whatever to compete with that and get like start another song. It's not going to happen. They orchestrate it, if you like, and because of that, they feel like, for me, they feel like they're a higher being than the standard fan. I mean, all these statements that they keep putting out, it really needs to stop. It's actually boring the life clean out of me now. It's like, just go to the game, right? Okay, you never go to the TIFO. It's very disappointing. But they've put a statement out, and like, it's as if they want the Celtic support to back them when what was the TIFO it was going to get put out? Like, we don't know. So I'm not going to like take a side and say, oh, that's terrible for Celtic because they weren't letting them. The TIFO could have been over on the other side offensive. So I don't know, but I'm actually fucking sick talking about the Green Brigade. They fucking bore the life out of me.
and on that note, we'll move on, because I do think that's the big thing is we don't know what the TIFO is. We're reading between the lines to say that that's what it was going to be, it's the message or what the TIFO is. But just that's how I'm reading their statement, as if they have to get agreement from Celtic and stuff. So just kind of reading between the lines, that's what I'm reading. And I'll kind of leave it with Graham Bell. I think whether you agree that they should get a special treatment with the board or not, but it seems that's the way the club want to work. So I think he says it well when the Green Brigade and the board just need to sit down and iron things out, whether that means continuing some form of relationship or just wiping the slate clean, and Celtic have to just run the risk of giving them free rein essentially. So it's one or the other, but we'll kind of move on from that, and we'll just kind of got to rewind it back to last week a wee bit, Ross. And I thought it was after the Hibs game in Brendan Rodgers post match. You've informed me that you can't find it, but it was more a comment that he made about talking about the New Year's game, and what he said was Rangers stole our game, which I found was an interesting comment. Now I think he went on to say as well about how Rangers played that day, but where we kind of got to go with this is, do you think that's maybe a dangerous comment for Rodgers to make? Because you could go into something that now we'll obviously dive into how we think the game can go and how these games can pan out, but sometimes derby games, as the cliche form goes out the window. A statement like that, could that maybe come back to haunt him?
No. Listen, I couldn't find this statement. I've probably seen it and just can't remember. It's obviously been some sort of kind of throwaway comment. I've not got any issue with it if that is word for word what he said. I think he's being honest, because when you think back to that game, Rangers were the better team by a distance that day, and they beat us playing us at our own game in terms of they pressed us high, they played with high energy. And on the day, they also caveated that with the fact that they actually played really well. So I think Rodgers was being honest. I'm quite happy for him to say that. I think we all know. He's only saying what we all know, and that was that Rangers played us at our own game and beat us at it. Now, I don't think, if Rangers go and beat us on Sunday, touch wood, I mean, I don't think that comment could be thrown in Rodgers' direction. I don't think he was being flippant towards Rangers. I think he was just being honest and saying that is how that game panned out. Celtic want to play like that. Rangers didn't allow us, coupled with the fact that we just didn't handle the atmosphere and that pressure early on. If you get through that and you frustrate the crowd, especially when you've no fans in the stadium, like we have done on other occasions, then you can then start to impose yourself on the game. But that day, I think we had a decent first 5 minutes. We maybe could have got a goal. Can't remember who the chance fell. It was for a corner kick. It didn't happen, but then Rangers obviously get the opening goal and didn't look back. I had absolutely no issue if that's what he said. I don't think that in any way, shape or form that can be cast up to Rodgers, because I don't think he was dissing Rangers in any way. I think he was actually praising them and basically saying that that's what we need to do on Sunday.
Nah, I think you're right, Ross, and I think Ross probably is right, Stephen, in the sense that Rodgers was just being honest. I think when, on reflection, when you look at that game, Rangers battered us that day. Let's not beat around the bush. They absolutely battered us. And it was just, it's more that I've seen mixed reviews, and it was more kind of open goal, kind of spoke about it. I think James McFadden and that were like, they were okay with it. Paul Slane, I appreciate he's maybe not the most educated guy in the world, but it's a comment he said he didn't like. So I just was kind of thought we'd bring it to yourselves and see what you thought, how you interpreted it or that.
I mean, first of all, I love Paul Slane. I think he's top.
To be fair, I like open goal, mate. I love open goal.
He's fantastic. He's some laugh. But in regards to that comment, I think what Ross was saying, there's that fucking leaf blower again. Like what Ross was saying, that I totally agree with him in the aspect that Rodgers was just being truthful of what we all seen. There's no point to him coming out saying, like Clementine used to do, and say we kicked the ball 570 times, but we didn't put it in the back of the net. That doesn't matter. We didn't win the game. We were shit. and we spoke about this before. Celtic at the moment struggle against the high intensity press. They really do. Do you know what I mean? And that's a concern for me, and I hope they don't fall into that trap again. I think as well, he spoke about it quite recently about will he use the performance at Ibrox to kind of show the players again, and he said something quite telling about the players know. We already spoke about that after the game. We've moved on, and it's just a matter of fact now to get this into the Derby game on Sunday and take the bad practices that we've done at Ibrox and make them into good practices and actually take advantage and play our game, because they did effectively steal how we wanted to play against them, and they've done it quite well. And you have to, and not credit where it's due, but you have to hold your hands up and say, this is what happens. And sometimes I think it was in the comments, forgive me here, but someone said about that was our off day, and then I think it was Pete McLaughlin said it was our first domestic defeat in 10 months at the time. So, the law of averages, so to speak, comes into play here. You will lose one eventually, and hopefully we can look forward to righting the wrongs on Sunday.
Nah, totally. And let's say we've had a week since the Hibs game to work on your game plan. Obviously, Rodgers will be. He'll be unsure of what maybe system Rangers have got to play, Stephen, but going by what they've done against Fenerbahce, it looks like they might play 5 at the back. I don't see they've had albeit they weren't great last night, what I thought, but first they probably over the 2 legs, maybe what I seen, they maybe half and half and penalty shoot. It was just how it goes. I don't think Fenerbahce were brilliant over the 2 legs and deserved to go through. Equally, I don't think Rangers done enough to say they convincingly should have went through, but it looked like, as I say, they played 5 across the back. But we will have, like I say, Roger had a week to kind of work on what he's got to do, and you're kind of confident he'll be able to combat whatever formation they put up.
Well, I mean, let's be fair, Barry Ferguson can't count the many players in a formation, so I think we're winning that one in terms of a tactical battle. But that we spoke about this last night, and look, I hold my hands up. I watched both the European games. I watched them when we're not playing, obviously, to see how they're playing, and if they're playing shite, you can take great joy in that when they're getting beat by Motherwell at home, because it's funny and you poke fun at them.
But I think a lot of fans watch them, but it's just one of them. Maybe call it obsessed.
There's just only a minute.
We watch it because we want to just see. We're not trying to get any tactical thing against them. If we watch Rangers, it's not going to have an impact on how we set up against them on Sunday.
Because we want to see them get pumped.
Exactly. Do you know one of the most? I mean, we spoke about that for a bad side time. They were fucking awful, and they be managed by Mourinho.
I only seen bits of the first leg, but a lot of folk have said Rangers could have battered them in the first leg. I've never seen loads of it.
Being managed by Mourinho and being that shit is just incredible. They were awful, and they played well at Ibrox, but Rangers won the penalty shootout and they're through. And I thought the celebrations were quite funny at full time, like they won the thing. They actually were running about, jumping on each other, and Barry Ferguson was trying to fucking touch Leon Balogun's Arsenal. It was incredible things, and then there was a point in the match where Jeffy, or at the end of the game, was holding a big flag, and it was like the Celtic badge crossed out, and like a ultra member with a mask on, like beside it, and it's like, come on, the fuck here, like Jesus. Playing to the gallery, it's playing into that staunch mentality, running about suit shops, buying new suits for the match day and new brown shoes and all this place. But like the tactical battles, I think I thought Rodgers today, the first part of that interview, the press conference, was all about them, and you can see gradually Rodgers was being like, I know, but no, I know, but I'm kind of rounding it off in terms of what I'm saying. I think he's up for the battle. He knows there's no doubt in a million years he's a better coach than Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, and fucking Callum McGregor. Do you know what I mean? Them guys, like, he can outcoach them any day of the week. He knows what he has to do. Barry Ferguson tweaked a system, won a game, big whoop. They still got beat, do you know what I mean? Which was quite funny, but they got through at the end of the day. Fair enough. That's it. We're up for it.
It keeps his coefficient points going, Stephen. So that's the main thing. Let's be truthful here. We can take advantage of them when we win the league. But I come to yourself, Ross. I say Rodgers. I mean, he's probably had a lot of I wouldn't say weeks and weeks, but he'll be planning weeks before how he's providing everybody's fit, how he's going to face against Rangers. But obviously can fully do that after getting the Hibs game out the way. And Rangers will have the distraction. Sometimes Europe can be a good distraction. We just don't know how they'll react to Thursday night. Well, ultimately a positive result. But are you confident in Rodgers' ability? Seems like a daft question. Are you confident in Rodgers' ability that he'll be able to kind of he'll be able to just come up with a game plan that will be able to counteract whatever Rangers are doing?
Of course.
Aye.
But I mean,
I'd committed to that. I worded that absolutely terrible, and I'd committed, so I just went in. It was a bit like shite bench. I was there.
Aye, it's fine. Skid on it, doesn't it? No, but listen, you say he'll come up with a game plan. He'll play the formation that he has done throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably play the expected 11, barring injuries. So the Celtic have got a certain way of playing. They know what their best team is. So it's not about coming up with a new game plan, if you like. It's about implementing the game plan that we've had throughout the season. And by the way, we've implemented it more often than not really well. There has been the odd occasion where it's not worked, and that's just how life goes. That's how football goes. But for me, it's about implementing the usual game plan to the best of our ability, to our highest level that we can on the day. And for me, the onus is on Barry Ferguson to come up with a game plan to stop Celtic, because we're the home team, and we're the team that's top of the league. We're the best team on paper. We're just the best team. But for me, Barry Ferguson doesn't know his strongest team. He has made a few tweaks, like you touched on. He's lost some games, he's won some games, but Rangers are still showing the inconsistencies, what they showed under Clement. For me, I go into this game with, well, you go into a Celtic Rangers game with jeopardy anyway, but I go in with a bit of jeopardy, because for me, I felt like under Clement, towards maybe the last 2 or 3 Celtic Rangers games, maybe more than that actually, but I feel like Clement had found a formula to play against Celtic, and it was certainly working in that they were scoring goals against us. Obviously the 3-0 game, but the other games they were scoring still a few goals, albeit they were conceding goals to us as well. I just don't know. I don't know if Barry Ferguson will implement that same sort of game plan, if you like, that had started to sort of work for Clement in these games. If he changes it, you don't know if it's going to work just the same for Rangers. But then at the same time, I feel like you have to look at it and go, right, listen, it can only take you so far, being staunch Rangers and a Rangers man. But in a one-off game, I quite believe that Barry Ferguson will have his players up for this game, as much as Brendan Rodgers will have his players up. But again, I go back to it. It's if Barry Ferguson can come up with a game plan that's going to stop this Celtic team. Not many teams have done it in the league or domestically this season, so it's a tall order for him, certainly at Celtic Park, off the back of a big European night. And everybody talks about Rangers will come into this game, they'll be tired. I don't buy into that. Okay, they probably will be tired, but they'll be running on adrenaline probably most of the game. You look back to that semi-final where Rangers I think they played in Europe on the Thursday night. Can't remember. I feel like it went to extra time, and then they played us, and they were actually they looked the fitter and stronger team in the extra time, and they ended up beating us. So
it was in Andy's first season, wasn't it?
It was, think I. But listen, you've got to look at it as well and go, well, this current Celtic team are a better side than that, probably at that point in Angie's tenure, albeit I think we maybe went on a double that season. But listen, there's a lot of variables. It's a game for me that I don't feel like Celtic are going to run out 3, 4, 5 winners. I think it's going to be a tough game. Rangers will be well up for it, but it'll all come down to, as it has done for a good number of years now, it comes down to what Celtic turn up on the day. If Celtic come to their optimum level, for me it doesn't matter what game plan Barry Ferguson comes up with, good, bad or indifferent. I think if Celtic turn up to their optimum level, they go and win the game. But again, I don't think they absolutely hammer Rangers 4-5. I think it's going to be 2-0, 3-1, 2-1. But I still think Celtic go and win the game.
Nah, totally agreeing. I think I do think I'm maybe a wee bit more confident in that. There is wee butterflies. Me and my sister were talking about it yesterday. I've got wee butterflies, but I think that's a good thing. I never like being overly confident in these games, but I suppose with the, not that I'm saying I'd be happy as if he put the cushion in terms of the league is just only got to help things. But as it's Friday night, lads, and we try and do it a wee bit different on a Friday and have a wee bit of fun. Gavin had done like a wee feature to the podcast about On This Day. So we're just going to do that. So on this day in 1964, there's just the one I found. Celtic won 5-0 against Hibs in League Division 1. I don't know if that was the top league and it's just that's what it was called at the time, but we won 5-0 with goals from, if I can go back to it, Murdoch got 2, Chalmers got 2, and Divers got 1. I mean, Celtic's team that day was Fallon, Young, Gemmell, Mackay, McNeil, Kennedy, Johnston, who incidentally got a call-up that day for the Scotland league side to face England's league side in Sunderland on the 8th of March. It was apparently his first call-up, so I don't know if that's kind of how it was. It was a Scottish national team, but it was classed as a Scottish league team. I don't know if that's what that kind of was. And the rest of the team was obviously Murdoch, Chalmers, Divers and Hughes. So can you remember that game, lads?
Mm-hmm. I can remember that like it was yesterday. It was incredible.
I think I'm drinking about 9 bits and pieces.
Incredible scenes.
Did they think so? But no, it's just a nice wee thing, a nostalgia that Gav has brought to the podcast, which a lot of us are kind of enjoying. But we're kind of obviously got to talk a wee bit about European football, so hopefully everybody doesn't switch off here and stuff. But I just thought it'd be interesting to look over all 3 European competitions here. I'm not going to concentrate too much on the Conference League because I didn't ken half the teams in it and I didn't ken how it's going to go. But I don't know if it's me or you, Stephen, at this point. But sure as
Ross, can I ask you a question? Is the missus still drying her hair?
No.
It's me or you, Stephen. It's one of us two.
It's I can't hear nothing.
It must be one of me or Stephen then, because every time me or Stephen talk, there's like a bad buzzing noise. But sure as hell, John will tell us in fucking 3 years' time who needs to fucking sort their mic out.
I don't think it's me, like.
I don't think it's you. Can it be you?
Unplug your thing and plug it back in.
You just got to leave yours like.
So everybody just sat in the podcast.
Right, turn down your mic a wee bit. That seems okay. Now.
Maybe Ross, because I was starting to think it was me or you, Stephen.
That's it. We'll go with it, Franny. We'll go with it. We'll see what happens.
It might have been Ross. He's just had it plugged in properly. He's been known
for it. It was plugged in fine, honestly.
100% is Ross because his fucking sounds totally different now.
He does, doesn't he? You wee bastard.
I'm telling you, that was totally. It was unright. I swear to God, it was unright.
I'm sure you've said that before. You know what? Yeah. We'll move on.
Well done, Stephen. Well done. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. But you said it was in right, and Stephen went, you said that after, didn't you? But as I was saying, Stephen, we're just going to talk about that's what we need to. I think it is my head that's running a bit daft.
He's just running. He's on the back of Ross's house.
He's warming up for Sunday. I just thought for a wee bit. a wee bit different. A wee bit different. Ross Justin. This is Justin.
No idea.
I know. Just a wee bit different because we try and do it, have a wee bit of fun on a Friday night. We'll maybe deviate for Celtic chat and stuff. But so we're just going to talk about each European competition, Stephen. No too in depth because, as I say, the Conference League.
I haven't watched any of it really.
I've not got a clue about half the teams in it, but the quarter-final draw and I'm going to totally turn into you, Stephen, here, try to pronounce team names.
Yes.
The quarter-final draw is Fiorentina against Celj. It's Celje, the team. No idea who they are. Can you tell where they play?
That's the Europa?
The Conference League, aye.
All right.
So we'll start with the bottom. We'll work our way up to the Champions League. Jagiellona Bialystok versus Real Betis. And Rapid Vienna versus Djurgården. And Chelsea versus Legia Warsaw. I mean, it honestly just sounds like these teams are made up. I feel like I've heard of that Djurgården team before. But half the teams just sound like they're made up. But surely I don't know how the semi-final draw works out with that, who plays who. I think that works the same as other competitions where that's already been predetermined. But surely that's got to be Chelsea's tournament. On paper, anyway.
I mean, you like the. I mean, you'd think so, to be fair, with the squad that they have. They had a good spell in the league, didn't they? Round about the start of the season under Maresca. And they've kind of fell away, obviously, with the likes of Liverpool hitting top gear and things like that. So, I mean, not your garden or whatever. Fuck me. Imagine they won, and that'd be a good laugh. Conference League, I haven't seen any of the highlights of any of the games in the Conference League.
I don't think I've seen one game, one Conference League.
Fiorentina maybe up there, maybe in the final with Chelsea, if you go by the teams that are left.
I'll try and see, while you're talking, I'll try and see where they are in the league then, if Fiorentina.
I'm pretty sure Fiorentina played Hearts recently as well. It might have been in one of the European competitions.
Can they meet before the final, though? Or?
I'll be honest, Ross, I've not got a clue.
Aye.
No got a clue. But Fiorentina are currently 8th in Serie A.
Could be an outside chance there for a wee bet to get them in the final alongside Chelsea, like Ross said, if their paths don't cross beforehand. But sometimes. No. Would this Conference League be like the equivalent to the Intertoto Cup? Remember that back in the day?
No, it's essentially the Cup Winners' Cup, mate.
Ah, right, fair enough.
The Intertoto Cup was only about 4 games you played or something.
Aye.
Oh, fair enough.
That was
I'd say
fair play hang or something, wasn't it?
Aye.
Chelsea or Fiorentina for me for that competition.
It seems I say if to avoid each other, I think that's probably your 2 teams to go on, Ross, is it not, in that tournament?
Aye, I would think so. And to be honest with you, even Fiorentina, the Italian league's not what it was.
No.
They're probably still a half decent side, but if Chelsea don't win that tournament,
Stephen, who's that?
Not even saying it.
If Chelsea don't go on and win that tournament, then there's something far wrong, and questions hate to be asked. Because the team they've got, the money they've spent, and I know a lot of these guys they're still developing. They've bought a lot of young guys, but I mean, for me, I think played Copenhagen there, and they were other than Fiorentina, the teams that were left. They looked to be the only team that could pose Chelsea any threat, and they dispatched them fairly easily. So I'll be surprised if they didn't go on and win it.
Real Betis are sitting 6th, and
I forget about them. And they've got Anthony, world class. He's playing with them.
It's mad that all these Man United players are leaving. In. I mean, looks like Rashford is wrapping up a wee bit with Aston Villa as well.
There's a reason. There's a major problem at Manchester United, and do you know what it is? I'm loving every single fucking second of it because I hate that club, and all the troubles they go through. I will laugh and I will smile and I will slag anybody who supports United. So Anthony and Ryan, much appreciated.
No, it's not to speak of an AC fan. It's not. I mean, AC Milan and Juve were probably the big 2 when me and Ross were. Obviously, Inter were there as well, but AC Milan were the main team. With, like guys like you, Stephen. No offense, but you probably didn't realise how big a club AC Milan actually are. They were ridiculous.
I was alive when they won the Champions League. I do know how big a club they are.
They've won seven.
I know they've won a lot. I mean, I remember Shevchenko, Kaká, Seedorf when we played them. They were an unbelievable team. Maldini, Nesta, Dida, fucking something. Unbelievable. Nesta, unbelievable.
But we'll swiftly move on to the Europa League, Ross. And I know how this draw works out. So the quarterfinals are as such: Bodo Glimt versus Lazio, Rangers versus Atletico Club Bilbao. Just thought I'd turn it to fucking McManaman there for a wee while. Spurs versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Turned into I just had a stroke again.
Frankfurt.
Man United versus Lyon, and the semi-final draws would be Bodo Glimt or Lazio against Man United or Lyon, and Bodo Glimt versus Lazio would. The winners of them would go on to get the winners of Spurs versus Eintracht Frankfurt, and then the winners of Rangers and Bilbao would get the winners of Man United and Lyon. Where's your money there?
I feel like the semi-final will be Lazio. What did you say again?
So it would be Spurs or Eintracht Frankfurt would get Lazio then.
Right, so I would say Lazio, Eintracht Frankfurt will be one semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was the other side of the draw?
Rangers and Bilbao versus Man United and Lyon.
I'll be Bilbao, Lyon. I think Lyon's a good side. They beat Rangers 4-0 earlier in the season at Ibrox, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Frankfurt. Who is it? Frankfurt against Lazio, I said.
Aye.
I think probably see Frankfurt get into the final playing Lyon.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I'm going to go with. I think Lyon might win it.
I actually think Bilbao might win it. I'm not just saying that because it's a wee bit of my hanks. It's because it's in there. I fancy Bilbao or Lazio. I think they might. I would like.
Frankfurt's a good side.
They are a good side.
Strong German team. I think they had a good result. 1-4-1 the other night or something.
I think
against Ajax.
German teams generally are predominantly good in competition football, whether that be the national team or club team, Stephen. But I mean, a wee bit of me wouldn't mind Spurs winning. It just a lot of folk dislike Ange, and he's obviously said that statement that he always wins something in his second year. People are now kind of chucking that in his face a wee bit, but it's factual. As we speak, it's factual. He's always won something within his second year. So a wee bit of me would, just so he can carry that arrogance of saying that, would like me to win that, because I just know there'll be a lot of folk, especially within the English media, cannot wait to chuck that down his throat if he doesn't win this European trophy. Sorry, Ross, before Stephen comes in.
I was just going to say, did you hear Ange on that? I think it was maybe last night. He said, like everybody keeps saying this to me, that I said I win things in my second season. He says, I wasn't being like big-headed or boastful or that. I was just stating a fact, because that's what's happened everywhere I've been. If I don't win one this season, then I won't be able to say it again. He said, but I was just stating a fact. I wasn't doing anything other than that. And people keep shoving it down his throat as if it was some terrible thing to say. Like, he just said it. Big deal.
Like I say, it's facts. Is within his second year, he's always won something at a club. But Stephen, where are you? If you were a betting man, which I know you're not, where would you put your money for there?
I mean, like what you're saying about the whole Postecoglou and Tottenham scenario. I mean, I'd be all for that, to be fair. We know what the English media are like. I mean, they spent the first 6 months of his tenure bumming him up and saying he's unbelievable. His philosophy is amazing. He won't change for anybody. And he's stuck to that same philosophy. He's had injuries and different things to deal with. And now he's the worst manager ever to manage in the Premier League. And people like Cundy and Jamie O'Hara are putting the boot on him, and these people aren't worth a fraction of what Postecoglou is. The big man done wonders for us, and regardless if he's moved on to pastures new, he'd be always kind of highly thought of at Celtic Park. And Spurs are a mythical big club. They've done fuck all in their history to achieve the status of a big club. Do you know what I mean? So I think they need to get back in their lane, so to speak. But I'd be all for maybe Spurs get to the final and winning. I'm fed up. I'm so fed up of writing Sevco off in Europe. I'm not going to do it anymore. I cannot be arsed having a big heated chat in the podcast group of me being raging about how shite other teams are when they play them. It's mental how teams like Fenerbahce play Rangers and forget the basics of football and forget how to pass it, forget how to run with it, forget how to shoot with it. And it's like, what goes on? It baffles me. But looking at Bilbao's squad, I think Ross, you were saying it to me the other night as well. When you look at, they've got the Williams brothers, they've got Spanish internationals in there. They're a good outfit. I think they're maybe up in the top or upper half of the Liga, so they're doing quite well. And they're a good club, and they're really kind of linked to Celtic. We've played them a couple of times, and for James Forrest, testimonial and things like that. They're fourth, so there you go. Unbelievable. I hope and pray that they'll put them out.
It's the Bona Boy says the finals in Bilbao, so Sod's Law fucking Rangers
there you go.
Final, aren't
Is Rangers home or away first in that time?
I've got them down as home, so I think
they're home first.
How I've googled it, so I'm assuming they're home first.
So for me, I think as well, Leon, like Ross, are in for a good shout. If I had to put my money on it,
for me, it's a wee bit open.
I'll say
I wouldn't be surprised if they're going in this one.
I'll say Tottenham.
I'm going Bilbao or Lazio. I wonder if maybe something in the comments, but I wonder if Bilbao still do this thing where they only sign folk for the Basque region.
They do.
They
haven't changed it.
Signed anybody outside that, which is mad that they're competing at the top end of the table and in Europe if they're only signing boys, all Spanish, and only signing folk for a certain region in Spain. Mad.
I want to give credit to James here because it just popped into my head. Do you remember what he said in the podcast about the Williams brothers? They'll play Rangers and turn into the Williams sisters.
Need it. And McLaughlin P's gone for a Lazio Leon final. And
that'd be a good game, by the way.
I randomly paused it just to make sure that could actually happen. But that could happen.
But you're right in what you're saying, though, Franny. It is wide open. I think the fact that there's no parachute for the Champions League, I think for me, the quality in the latter stages of this tournament is probably less than it has been in previous years because of that. But it opens the tournament right out, and there is you would probably say out of the 8 that's left, there's maybe 3-4 that's got a real good chance of winning it. Not Rangers.
Do you think further down the line that you mentioned the parachute and the Europa League, Ross? Do you think once the Champions League's new format gets ironed out over the next 3 or 4 years, think they'll introduce that again? Maybe for the bottom half of the 20?
Well, I don't think they'll do it with that. They would need the Europa League to change them, I don't know, because they'd kind of follow the same format.
I suppose.
They would have to rethink. They would have to rethink something, but what I would say is, as much as I obviously want Celtic to win the league every season and compete in the Champions League, and this format has suited us this season, it has been really kind to us, albeit we've had to perform still and we've put the performances in. I think the fact that the way we're progressing, if it was the old format, I think would be in with a shout. And I know Simon Jordan has said that time and time again that, we wouldn't have got out of the group if it had been the format. Fuck off, mate. Celtic done well this season. But the fact that third place and drop them into the Europa League and continue your European run, that's missing a wee bit. I would like, because I think that's a competition where Celtic have obviously they've had that bit of Champions League football. they're never going to win it. But if they got third place and dropped into that tournament, I think it's a tournament that we could do pretty well in and go on a decent run and get to this stage of the tournament. But that said, I do like the new format of the Champions League. I don't know if it's just because it's new, and I feel like the old format was getting a bit boring, to say the least. It was. Even when Celtic weren't in it, I was starting to get... You started to see the same old teams getting to the same stage and all that, and it was really set up for them. And it might be with a few tweaks and ironed out that it'll start to be more set up for these bigger teams again, but I've enjoyed it this season.
No, totally. And I kind of understand what you're saying about the Europa League thing, but I think if it's the money differential win between the two trophies, I think you would see less and less of your Engels type sort of spending if we were in the Europa League, unfortunately. But I'm with you. I'm all for the new format, and I do think if we have similar years, Ross, to what we had this year, where certain teams were not perceived the bigger teams progressing through and doing well, I dare say UEFA may make some tweaks, as you say, to try and make it fairer. I feel like the bigger teams are getting their way, and as on that, we'll go on to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Now we've got Aston Villa versus PSG, Borussia Dortmund versus Barca, and then the winners of the two games will face off against each other. And then the bottom half of the draw, I feel like Real Madrid versus Arsenal, Inter Milan versus Bayern Munich, and obviously the winners of the two fixtures, Ross, will face off against each other. So, I mean, if we want to kind of link it to Celtic, 3 of the teams that we played are still in the competition at the quarterfinals.
Draw was kind. It was easy. Celtic had it easy. That's easy. But no, it's interesting. I think Aston Villa, PSG. What I've seen of PSG against Liverpool, really impressive team. Far more impressive than any of the PSG teams that I've watched with your Mbappes and your Neymars and stuff like that. And by the way, that's not me saying that they're not good players, because they absolutely were, but this is more a team. I really like the way they play the game, and I'm not even going to attempt to say his name, but the Georgian player, I think he's outstanding. He's one of the very few players that just play off the cuff now, and I think that Luis Enrique allows him to go and play his own game and be that maverick type player. So I expect them to get through against Aston Villa, and they'll probably face Barcelona, which will be a really, really mouth-watering tie, because they're two fairly young, exciting teams that are going places. It'll be hard to separate them, but it'll be a fantastic game. And then you probably expect Bayern Munich and Real Madrid to face off in the other semi-final. And again, that's anybody's match. It's over 2 legs. I feel like it's hard to see past Real Madrid, but I mean, Bayern Munich went and beat Leverkusen 5-0 over 2 legs. I mean, that to me just shows how well we did against Bayern Munich. It's hard to see by Real Madrid, but I think that out of the possible 4 semi-finalists that I predict, that it'll be PSG, Barca, Real, and Bayern. I think that it is anybody. It's right up in the air, and it's anybody's. But you would probably make Real Madrid slight favourites just because of their experience. But I think that any one of them could go and win the tournament for that point.
No, I totally agree. The mad thing is, if that was the 4 semi-finalists, for me, Stephen, I would make Real Madrid favourites just simply because they know how to navigate this tournament. But where the bookies will have Barcelona, even they're sitting currently favourites with PSG, second favourites. So obviously the odds would go down, and I just think it's mad if you're looking at PSG versus Barcelona in one semi-final, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich in another. Obviously they're 4 big teams, but to hear Real Madrid third favourites in that for me with the bookies is absolutely madness.
It is madness to a point, but does their form reflect of, being favourites? I think they've been a bit sticky in patches in the Champions League. I know they're an experienced outfit. They've won numerous Champions League titles and things like that. You can never underestimate them. They're the kings of this competition. But from my knowledge, they didn't really did they play well in their last game. Effectively, do you know what I mean? They weren't unbelievable. Do you know what I mean?
TNT Sports wasn't working.
Nah, they weren't good. It wasn't a great game.
And like Ross said, you've got things like PSG. And by the way, it's a great point that you make. And see this argument about like Neymar and your Mbappe's and Messi being in the PSG team. They didn't fit a system, but the players PSG now fit a system, and they all work together. They're a unit. They've got some cracking players. I think we saw mentioned Fabian Ruiz in midfield is an unbelievable players that they have Donnarumma.
Vitinha as well.
Vitinha, yeah, great player. The keeper is a Donnarumma they have as well. So they're well stacked. They're a good outfit, and they're doing it properly this time instead of trying to sign all the superstars. They're slowly building, so maybe they could be an outside chance. And I've said it from probably middle of the Champions League group phase. I fancy Bayern Munich to win the Champions League. Obviously, they've got it. You mentioned the Europa League being in Bilbao. The Champions League final is in the Allianz Arena in Germany, their home stadium. So they've got a lot of things. They've got a lot of, as you said, emphasis and motivation to get there. And for me, they stand a chance. And maybe another outside bet can be Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa have done really well on this season in the Champions League. Unai Emery's a European specialist, especially winning the Europa League like 3 or 4 times in a row with Sevilla. So, he's got gravitas in European competitions. But if I had to say now, I'd be Bayern Munich. I'd be Bayern Munich or Barcelona. I would go for.
I think that's it. It's like you said. I think the semi-finals are PSG, Barca, Real, Bayern, and like it was Ross that said, it's just pick one out of a hat. For there, it's anybody's game for there.
See, to be fair, Steve makes a brilliant point. It sort of sways my thinking a wee bit. And for the start of the tournament, I said Bayern Munich, and then when I was making the point there, I forgot that the final was actually in Munich, which really plays. They obviously have to get there, but I was probably saying Bayern Munich would win it up until I seen PSG for the first time this season playing against Liverpool. I thought they were outstanding, but again, it's still difficult to separate any one of the 4 teams outright.
Nah, totally. And I think who's it? That on a Premier League kit. I thought I'd nailed it. He's not spelt it right, but I think he spelt it how you would say it.
That's a shot. That's a big call there, isn't it?
By the way, he was outstanding in the Euros. Outstanding in the Euros.
He was outstanding. It was brilliant the first leg against Liverpool as well. Absolutely ridiculous that makes well. I
would probably say for me, he's the player. I mean, when you were growing up and you were maybe in your 20s and that, and you probably got more excited than you do now when I'm in my 40s. But I mean, this guy for me, I would probably have to say since football sort of changed and went to that very rigid sort of Pep style, everybody's trying to copy it, and then you lost that sort of maverick type footballer, and it was all patterns and formations and tactics more than just like off the cuff. I would agree with him, and that in that period of time, he's probably one of the most exciting players that I've watched in the last 10 years.
Yeah, he's a very skillful player.
I do like him because, like you say, he's almost like that street footballer, like the playground footballer. It's yes, he fits a system, but it's almost it's B-Rogue essentially how I look up. And he also looks like he just burns plastic at night, but.
See, I don't know who it was. It might have been, you mentioned the Pep Guardiola kind of rigid system. Maybe, hopefully someone in the comments or used to know who made this comment, but it was a former manager. I'm tempted to say it was...
Hello.
You know what I'm talking about? About that he's ruined football.
Just this week.
Aye.
It was Fabio Capello. Aye.
Was it Capello? I ken the statement you're talking about, but I didn't realise it was him that said that.
Would you agree with that? Do you think he's ruined football? Not ruined it, but the whole systems and like, you know.
Well, I think Gavin had posted it in the group chat, and I mean, paraphrasing it was like he said he's ruined football and his arrogance. He doesn't like his arrogance. I agree with it in part, and that I feel like I don't think he's ruined football, but he changed it, and initially it looked like it was for the better, but as time has wore on, it works for Pep Guardiola, and he's been very successful, and he's to the point where he's regarded as one of the best managers of all time. Fair enough, but for the greater, wider landscape of football, I think it has been to the detriment, the fact that everybody's copying it. And I mean, the prime example is what we're talking about. We're talking about this Georgian player who is exciting and he's brilliant, and it's what a football fan likes to see. Albeit we like our team to play nice tiki-taka football and that. You want to have these players in the game, and they're few and far between now. And the fact that he's the only one that people can think of off the top of their head, maybe in the last 10 years, that play that way, I think that speaks to, certainly, I would agree with Capello in that sense. And I would also agree with Capello in the sense that I do find Guardiola quite arrogant. And listen, you probably need to be to get to where he is in the game and the standing and what he's done as a manager. But I've never really liked his demeanour in interviews and stuff like that. I've always felt that he is like what we're talking about. I feel like he is a bit arrogant. I don't when his team lose, I don't think he likes being questioned. I think he thinks, how dare you question me? I'm Pep Guardiola. I'm the top boy. Is Rafa? This is my office. It's my office / podcast room. So I'm always in the office, even when I'm out on site. But no, I think that he doesn't like being questioned, and I don't like that side. And listen, we all don't like being questioned to an extent, but I just don't like. I've never liked his demeanour. Not so much on the touchline to an extent, but certainly in interviews, I've never really liked his demeanour. But I respect what he's done in the game, and for me, a lot of it was put together with youth. He obviously brought some people in. He obviously landed Messi on his lap, but he still had to make that team play the way they did. He was lucky to have the players that he had to do it, but that Barcelona team that he created, sort of 2012 to 2014, roughly, something like that, the best club side I've ever seen in my lifetime, and that was down to him. And off the back of that, everybody started to copy that, and then that's when football changed. And slowly but surely, it's ruined football to an extent, because these teams are trying to do that with players that aren't as good as the players that were implementing it in that Barcelona team, and it doesn't look as good. That Barcelona team was epic. It was incredible to watch. Even the Man City team, his early Man City team, they were as close probably as you would get to that Barcelona team. But other teams that are trying to do it now, it's taking away from football as a spectacle, because they can't do it as well, and just play your strengths.
Yeah, I think as well, like for me, looking at it goes deeper than senior football. You look at young teams now; they're playing out from the back. They're playing out from the back on pitches that are bobbly and all this, trying to play tiki-taka football. You're giving it to the wingers and strikers, and they're told to pass it instead of reacting on instinct, taking on a man, beating the player, getting into the box, wee bit of flair, like the player we're talking about that plays for PSG. And look, I love Pep Guardiola. I think he's revolutionised football to an extent where, his Barcelona team in 2012 when they played us were peak, probably the best European or World Club side I've ever seen. Do you know what I mean? Playing us, and yeah, we beat them, but they were just sensational, the players they had in their team at that time. But I think what's happened is every club or every manager seems to kind of hopped on this trend where they think it's the best thing to play out from the back, inverted fullbacks and all this type of stuff. Instead of, and again, I'll agree with you, Ross, instead of, playing to your strengths, playing to what you're good at, with a wee bit of instinct, just a wee bit of flair, getting up the pitch. I don't know. Maybe that's where what's his name, Capello was coming from. That he thinks he's lost a bit of flair in the whole kind of European football landscape. And I know you started a comment there, and I was going to read.
I'll bring it up next day. I'll bring it up next day because I think it's top comment.
It's a brilliant point. It's a brilliant point, but and I do agree with it when you bring it up. But yeah, it's just strange. I find it compelling, the argument, to be honest. And we know what Pep's achieved. He's done great things in football. But is it on other managers for copying him? He's not telling people to implement these tactics or use these tactics. I just think some of these coaches look at Pep and be like, I can do this at like Lincoln or York City or wherever, but it doesn't work like that. You need to have the players who can fit that system. You need to have the people who are calm with the ball. You need to have people who can play out of a press and all this type of stuff. So, maybe it's incumbent on opposition managers not to look at Pep Guardiola and try and implement that style at every other club. I mean, do you think that people looked at Alex Ferguson and tried to implement his style at every other club? No, they didn't. But Alex Ferguson is one of the best managers who's ever lived. Think that anyone looked at Jose Mourinho's side and went, "Oh, we're going to be ultra defensive every week and get a 1-0 win, but we're still winning trophies." No, they didn't. They've just hopped in this trend because it looks good in the eye and they think they can do it. But unfortunately, most clubs in world football don't have the players to do that. And maybe it falls on them as well. To be fair.
No, I totally agree with both of you. I think they say Capello. I don't think he's simply meaning he's killed football and he's a poor manager. Because the strains of the doctor have a bit left us up since Pep ruined football is like saying Cruyff also ruined it. It is silly, but I think if you give it context to why you think he's ruined it in inverted commas, I feel like it's not properly ruined. It's just like you were touching on there, Stephen. Other teams are just trying to play it and they've not got the players now. Young coaches and stuff. I'm not saying young coaches and that shouldn't try and implement that and get folk to play better football and stuff. But it's like you say, play to your strengths. And then one thing I will say Cruyff did ruin was fucking trainers. He ruined trainers. They should have stayed out of that game. Just before you kind of come in, Ross, because this might help you as well. The comment has started for Big Rab being his brilliant comment. He's also said Pep's killed the game. As I say, I think there's a wee bit of context and he's got that. Growing up, there's about 20 to 40 world-class players. Now, there probably is some, but there's not to anywhere near that level, I think. And I think that's a bang-on comment.
It really is. But what I was going to say there was, it's not Pep Guardiola as such, it's ruined football. And I don't think ruined football is the right term. But it's more the people... Like he's playing the way he wants to play, his style. And he's been very lucky to have all the top players in every club that he's went to. Apart from football, that's true.
That's a wee brother.
Was it?
Is it?
Yeah.
He's been very lucky, the clubs that he's been at, to implement his style. And his style works for him, and it is good on the eye when it's played properly. That's not his fault that everybody else or a lot of other teams have tried to copy that style. So it's not Guardiola himself that's sort of, let's say, made it to the detriment of football. It's the people trying to copy it that's sort of
seen that comment.
made the problem. What?
I do know that video killed the radio star.
For fuck's sake.
Sorry, Ross.
That's basically, I was finished anyway.
No, that's what I agree with what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? It's the copying nature of it, isn't it? It's like you see a tactic that works and you think you can do this anywhere. And like time and time again, and I'll go back to it, like youth academies, youth structures, you can have a player who's an unbelievable dribbler and can take people on, can do anything with the ball, but his coach is telling them to pass it, play it safe. Do you know what I mean? All that type of stuff. Instead of, and again, we'll go back to, I don't want to sound repetitive, but play to your strength. And then when you get later in your senior career, you can develop into a system. I get too many young players. I mean, I done a wee bit of coaching. Now you're talking maybe 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm honest, when I was like 25 for a team, one of my local teams who, 9, 10 years old, and all I was doing was putting on like wee tiny sessions and stuff. But you know, time and time again, I would hear people say, "Pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball." When a player wants to keep the ball, dribble with it, do stuff with it, do something magic with it. Do you know what I mean? And for me, it takes away from all that. And like you said, Ross, it's the copying nature that's fucked it up completely. Because you go to the lower leagues in Scotland and Celtic Hearts, and they're trying to play it out, and you go to the lower leagues in England, fucking Foxhall Panorama, and you've got fucking Dover Cliff FC trying to play it out and be like Pep Guardiola. It does not work. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work. Stop copying a manager who's had unbelievable success with this system. Don't get me wrong. There's clubs that could do it, managers that do it. They can do it well. Maybe Rodgers does it to a certain extent, but he has an identity that he's had from when he first started out in management way back when in Swansea and things like that. It's stayed with him throughout his whole career. You get coaches now who flip on a sixpence. I mean, I watched that. I don't know if you watched the Open Goal documentary. Not documentary. It was like a coaching day with Dougie Emery. Fuck. I don't score like him anyway, Irish man. Joe Gormley plays for Cliftonville, and they just won the cup final there last week. So I think he scored a winning goal or something. But yeah, and what I was saying. So I watched that footage with Dougie Emery. He's a manager of Morton, right? And he's sitting talking about, and no disrespect, by the way, but playing the ball out from the back, short, sharp, concise passes and stuff. Like, come on, the fuck. Give me a break. Play to your strengths, and then the rest will take care of itself. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think, by the way, Michael Owen, it might have been a couple of years ago, but he nailed it. He nailed it. He said, like, off the back of that, when that comment you brought up about the world-class players now, Franny, I can't mind who the comment was by.
It was Big Rabbi Naz.
Aye, well, off the back of that, Michael Owen said that when he was coming through and when he was coming up, you had to be more naturally gifted, natural talent, and then. But now, if you're big and physical and athletic and you can run, you'll make it. So you don't have to have natural ability anymore to make it. And there's far too many probably players maybe slipping through the net that have got that natural ability, but maybe aren't big, tall, athletic guys, but they're wee, messy types. Maybe not to the level of Messi, but you get what I'm saying, and that they're more, they've got that natural ability, and they're being overlooked for these guys who are big, strong, and athletic, that could probably do well in athletics, but they make it at football, and they're maybe not just as naturally gifted as you would like. And there's too many of the types of players in the game now, and that's probably been to the detriment of football as well, and that maybe needs to be looked at. I don't know if that comes to grassroots or whatever. I'm not involved in the game to that sort of level, so this is me only surmising, but I think that Michael Owen did hit the nail on the head with that.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the only one player that sticks out to me is Jude Bellingham. I think he's maybe a modern day guy, along with the PSG guy that plays a wee bit off the cuff, but I think he does play a wee bit of system. I mean,
I think
that's out the comments, but I think Jude Bellingham has similarities the way he plays the game to Zidane. Now, he's not as good as Zidane, but he reminds me the way he plays the game is Zidane. Just the way he takes the ball in and he plays the game.
Initially, sorry, I was just going to say, initially that's what I thought, Franny. But since he's went to Real Madrid, I think, listen, he's still got that ability, but I think he is. You see him playing more in a system, and that sort of natural ability you talk about, I think I don't know if it's been coached out of him, because how can you coach that out of somebody? But I think I don't see that as off the cuffness, for wanting a better phrase. I don't see that as much as I did when he was maybe playing at Dortmund, and then obviously playing in the England team. That first appearance he had at the World Cup, I thought it was outstanding, but then in the Euros he had an indifferent one. Listen, he's still a fantastic player. He's big, he's athletic, He has got that natural ability, but I don't think we're seeing it as much as you would like in games because, like you say, he's playing that system. He's playing it in our system.
I mean, we're talking about teams playing to their strengths and players playing within a system that suits them. I mean, if you take it back to the Scottish League, and look again, it's not praising him, but you look at like the Stephen Robinson at St Mirren. He's never changed the way he's been. He's always played that same way with bulldozers at the back, 6 foot plus athletic players. No frills, no spills. They're not trying to be a team they aren't, and they do get good, effective results, and especially against us and them sometimes. You look at Derek McInnes, again, he's a blue nose, but his blueprint stayed the same. It's never deviated and tried to move into this fucking chicken tikka, whatever, what do you want to call it, style of football. Do you know what I mean? They've remained true to themselves, and you need a lot of coaches to still maintain that self-belief. And I mean, I don't want to sound repetitive, but it's like, you look at Jimmy Thielen, I think he has his own blueprint. It's a mixture of both. It's like a hybrid system that he plays. And Falicari at St Johnstone sprung a new fresh of lease of life into them with his style. So, coaches do have their identities, and it's good to see that. But as I said, to go back and round off this point, too many coaches look at that and think, we can do that. Do you know what I mean? You can't. Just stop.
No, I totally agree. I'm glad that the fact that when we were talking about Europa League, the European competitions will somehow went there. I like how that conversation just went down avenues that I never intended to. But I like the fact that that's what it's done. That.
What did you think of your man's interview with Gary Neville, Radcliffe?
I've not really seen it. I've seen bits and bobs. There was one bit where he obviously talked about the sort of after dinner speaker bit and Charles Tickets and that, and Jim Radcliffe's like, nobody suggested that, and I'm like, so that's something maybe you should think about. But then you see that Gary Neville done obviously the voiceovers for Man United's new stadium, so there's a reason he's got that interview, and I think majority of the questions will have been scripted and been passed as allowed to be asked and stuff like that. But Jim Radcliffe, let's not beat around the bush. He's not a fucking daft guy. What he's done with Ineos, Sky Racing and all that, maybe doesn't guarantee he can sit run a football club. But if Man United were winning things now and winning games, they'd be batting an eyelid at what he was doing. But I mean, there's things like they were paying, what was it? They were paying
a body language expert.
A body language expert, $175,000 a year. You know, he's paying guys off. He needs a body language expert. I appreciate we live in a different world these days, but so you didn't hear a full-time body language expert on a fucking $175,000 a year.
Do you know the most mad thing about that whole thing was, right? We were going to run out of cash in November. We had to cut contracts. We had to let go of people. Day later, £2 billion stadium, please. No bother. We're getting it done. It's like, what is going on? Unbelievable.
Folks saying, folk moaning about I'm taking free lunches off. It's like, you're fucking paid. You're paid. Like, just pay for your lunch. Everybody else pays for their lunch.
Oh, fuck me.
Just like the receptionist has to pay for a lunch. Aye, so they fucking should. Shouldn't they get
no, I don't agree with them taking the lunches off the people. That's fucking manic. Like, that's basic shit.
Meal prep my Sunday. Come on.
Aye.
Get your 5 meals done. 5 meals done for the week.
Chicken and rice, pasta salad. Done. It's easy. Fish and a rice cake. And then lunch a rice cake. It's Man United. Pasta salad. It's easy. Go and get it. Just go and get salad.
Man United, whether you like it or not, are still arguably the biggest club in world football, but they were winning things now. Jim Radcliffe would be getting away with everything. And the thing is, he's only, like, the Glazers still own most of the club, but Jim Radcliffe's the face and taking all the fucking rap for it at the end of the day. It seems to be him taking the rap.
25% or something? He's only 25% or something.
The Glazers still own a lot more.
That's what I mean. And the rest go to them.
So he's taking the rap for it, but I fucking, like you, I didn't like Man United, but it's one of them. I think you dislike them a wee bit more than me, but I'll be honest. But we're kind of got to do, before we kind of got back to Celtic chat, we've got to do a wee teaser. So So, well, comments off, but even though Stephen Molney. But it's sort of
Well, comments off the whole podcast.
You're fucking arse. You can bring them ones up. You fucking idiot.
No, but I'm saying you want the comments off. Is this teaser going to last the whole podcast?
Well, no, hopefully not. Because if it's dragging a wee bit, I'll wait and.
Are you going to do the answer straight away, like rather than?
Wait. I've got there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 11. I've actually read the. I was going to count them, and the question actually states the number of how many answers there is there. So there's 11. There's 11 answers. So I'll kind of see how he's getting on and judge it for there.
Right. Okay.
Judge it for
Ross,
there.
comments off.
Comments are off.
Back to it.
What is it? You got an answer each, or?
You can just give an answer each. So you're just working as a team. It's not like a competition.
All right.
It's not like a competition against each other. Or not one
away, high five,
you kind of just a bit like Super Scoreboard, how they do their wee teaser thing. If you like, we'll do it in that sort of format.
Open your mouth, Ross is coming. I'm with you.
Cut that bit.
So I'm looking for the top 11 Champions League scorers to have played in Scotland.
Is this overall or in a campaign?
Not overall. So they've played in Scotland, but also they've scored obviously in the Champions League.
Henrik Larsson has to be.
Not necessarily. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily need to be all for a Scottish team.
Aye. They've
played. They could have played one game in Scotland.
Aye.
Henrik, everybody's played more than one. Aye, Ross has said him.
And we're a team. We're conferring. What about
Freddie Ljungberg?
No, he has one. So that's 2 the new. Anytime you want, Stephen, give an answer.
Sorry, Andre Flo.
There's another one. No, by the way,
we're conferring. You're just wearing them out here.
I've had this before the start of this season. This question I've just noticed Gillian McAndrews put my head in. I don't know if he's the right answer now. Engels might be a right answer. I don't know because I think he's got 3 goals in the Champions League. He's got 3 assists. Sorry.
Well, just go with the ones you've got in your.
Aye, he does. Could arguably be a right answer now.
There's not many goals. The other ones that I've said then.
No, well, I'm just thinking because there's a guy on here. There's a guy on here that I suspect hasn't got many Champions League goals, but he maybe has.
What about?
Did I have to have scored for the Scottish sub as well?
So for argument's sake, it doesn't need to be Oil Larsson's goals for Celtic. Oil Larsson's Champions League goals for Celtic.
Just their accumulated goals, and they could have played one game in Scotland. As long as they've played in Scotland at any point.
I'm confirmed with Ross here, right? Because I remember the hype before he signed for Rangers. Would Sebo be one?
I wouldn't think so.
No.
What about Van Bronckhorst?
No.
What have we got? Flo, Larsson.
We've got Larsson, Torranja, Flo, and Ljungberg. 8 to go.
Holy fuck.
I actually like one of the answers.
Can I ask you a question? Is there any outside the 2 Glasgow teams? Any players?
Yes. One.
Right, okay. One. Right, okay. Is anyone in the comments got anything right? Because I can't see them. So.
Nah, nobody. Surprisingly, nobody yet. No.
Ravanelli.
No one's commented.
By the way, well done, Ross. There's the one outside it.
Right.
I texted you that, mate. That was a good assist, wasn't it? Right. So we're on for 4.
2 seconds. So P. McLaughlin's asking what the question is again. So it's the top 11 Champions League scorers to have played in Scotland. Now, so far we've got Larsson, Torranja, Flo, Ljungberg, Ravanelli. No, I'm not counting this season because I've had this question for a few months.
Kenny Miller.
No.
Fucking hell. Thought that would have been a shoe-in.
There's Brown Warwick, got Ravanelli too.
Chris Sutton?
No.
Fennegar Castlemilk?
No.
This is wild.
No.
No, it's got to be
scored.
No, Big Rab, I want you to confirm who you've said a second name. Give me the first name and I'll tell you if you're right or no.
Roy Keane.
Well done.
Oh, fuck off. I know we're in a team, Ross, here, but Roy King's not scored millions of goals in the Champions League, surely.
That is one of the answers. And you were right, Big Rab. He'd said Keane, but he never gave me the first name, but he's straight back in with Roy Keane. I didn't actually
It's mental. I haven't given you anything here.
Royal Keane before he actually wrote Keane. So he'd actually said him before it.
Many we got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 to get. I can move on. You can come back to it.
No,
we'll try to get one or two more. We've got that.
Oh, fuck. No.
Ali,
no.
Wrong. I don't know.
Ali, no.
Has Haaland ever played in Scotland? He's never played in Scotland, surely.
No.
Branny, Ali, no.
No. Libo's rang. Big Pierre's rang. Robbie Keane's
This is
wrong.
fucking mental. What year does this go back to?
I don't know, mate.
You don't know.
I would say I'm trying to think of the player now, so you're maybe talking at least 98 anyway.
Lambert.
No. I was strange of the doctor came straight in with that as well.
Yeah.
Ian Wright's wrong as well.
Right.
Oh my god, that's a cracker, Franny. This question's an absolute belter, by the way.
Aaron Ramsey.
Ross is in again, Stephen. Anytime you want to give us an answer, it's up to yourself.
See, to be fair, right, Ross, we're telepathically communicating.
Ross is
second dress us.
See, to be fair, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 6 right, and you've given me an name, Stephen. So we'll be fair in that one. And Big Rabbit, it's no who you. If you're thinking of Chelsea, because he's no one.
Is he not thinking about Diallo? Diallo, no.
It's no him either.
What about Canija?
No.
Fuck.
By the way, that's mad that P. McLaughlin's came straight in with Canija doing at the same time. Scott Brown.
Averladze?
No. That
That's
was a bad shout.
No bad shout, aye.
Because we played him in the Champions League, didn't we? He played for a club against them.
He played for it. I think he scored against us. Or was it
Yeah.
Him and scored in the Ajax game. It's no Carlton Cole, unfortunately. I think that's tongue in cheek. I'll be honest.
Kazim Richards.
No.
Oh, good shout. Oh, he played for about 90 clubs in the Champions League. I'm surprised he doesn't score. Like
P. McLaughlin. What an answer.
Right now, you're
Ross.
No one's going to happen here. Ross is going to say it and be like, I didn't see the comments.
No, you're probably Stephen. That's your tactic. Stop trying to deflect here.
We're in a team. I'm tapped that Ross. You're not what I'm thinking. Come on.
Aye, I know.
Michael Moles is wrong.
It's just good, right?
Loudrop.
Oh no, okay. Jean-Claude Dartsville.
Oh, P. McLaughlin's got 2, and Wilson
One of the Boers.
Yes,
which one?
Frank.
Oh, well done, Stephen. Wilson's in with the board. P. McLaughlin's got 2 that he's haven't got so far.
Arthur Newman.
No. Do you want the teams?
No.
What do you mean the teams?
So the team they
played for?
It's only Celtic and Rangers players. That's a clue.
Go for it now.
That about 40 minutes ago.
Is that the clue? Is that everybody's going to tell the teams that they played for? And
the four you've got left, you've got 3 Celtic players and 1 Rangers player.
Oh my god!
I'm just trying to think big name.
Remember her?
Players.
Miss Moles? No, I don't remember her.
Stephen, Google Michael Moles' wife right now.
No, because I'm doing that.
I want to see your reaction. Google her on your phone right now.
That's terrible.
Pause the game.
He deserves it.
Try Hinky. sort of sizable name players that came late on in their career. Would you say 3 at Celtic, 1 at Rangers?
Mm-hmm.
This woman here.
Tierney's. That's her.
That's all.
Tierney's wrong. Andy Tom's wrong. Alan McCoyster's apparently wrong as well.
Can you give us? Can you give us the year range?
I'll be honest. It's going all the way back to around about 98 for one of them, and it's right up to. I was going to say the manager there. I'm trying to think when he left. About 2016, Gattuso's rang.
Carlo Torre.
No.
Fuck. Sinclair.
No, he haven't fucking played in the Champions. Well, I probably did with Celtic.
What about Frimpong?
Oh, I need to apparently there's smell the love said now Big Marco Viduka's bird. So this could be like a new challenge. Reactive players. Could be a new segment we can act. John Collins is wrong. Andy Tom have had is wrong. Paul Lambert have had is wrong. Google ex players misses.
Petrov?
No.
Petrov. No.
Did
they start for the clubs that were the first team regulars?
So one of the Celtic players, it was kind of probably not as much as a regular as you think.
But we got 3 to get.
4.
Maybe we should move on a bit.
I'm gonna come on with an absolute random guess here. Stefan Mahe.
Nah.
No.
Oh, I remember Viduka's wife. She was nice. And somebody, Brown Warriors, tell me to Google Directors one. I'll remember that for later. we'll get sidetracked a wee bit here.
Ross, come on. Right, I've got 5 minutes left and let's bang it out. Come on. I'm helping you out here. I've given you a lot. I want you to give me something back.
You've done well,
I can remember her too.
Bruno Alves.
No.
Gravison.
No.
This is fucking mental. I'm going through every team I can think of. Henshaws, whatever you call him.
No.
Anyone in the comments got these players right?
P. McLaughlin's got 2. I've not got. Yeah. So he's just got. No, you've only got 1 Celtic player, P. McLaughlin to get, and 1 Rangers player to get. So you've got 2 to get, but let's say it's the 1 played with Rangers, 1 played with Celtic. So he's got the 2 that you haven't got.
Fucking Google.
Jack Karnowski's rang. Karl Max rang. Chris M, I think he's still playing the.
Oh, Bratback.
There you go. There's one of the ones that P. McLaughlin had. So that's your oldest player, I feel like.
So 3 to get.
3 to get. And it's all after that era. Gillian Ramsey, but good answer. He was right.
So we've got 2 at Celtic, 1 at Rangers.
Yes. Oh, on a permanent.
And did we sign these from Champions? Did we sign these from Champions League clubs?
The Celtic player that you've still to get, 1 we didn't, 1 we did. The Rangers guy, I think they did sign him for a Champions League club.
2 guys?
I can't remember. No, I can't remember who they got him for, but I think he was a Champions League club.
Is he Greek?
Celtic player that came, no.
No Arteta? No.
No French Eddie.
I'm fucking hopeless.
It's no Laxa. He's maybe they scored most in the PlayStation, but maybe no.
Do you like the PlayStation?
Yeah, you were going to say that.
No, but as a wee clue, He was kind of as much a prick as Juff, maybe.
The Celtic or Rangers player?
Rangers player. He was not well thought of.
Vladimir Weiss.
No.
That's a good guess. Novo?
It's no Yelovitz, it's no Novo.
Can't be Novo, surely.
By the way, there's a guess. You would have thought it would have been him, but it's not.
That's a shout, by the way. That's
Who the fuck's that?
Stefan Givars. World Cup winner, mate. With the Rangers.
Never heard him like that.
And Newcastle.
Won the World Cup 98. He played about 35 seconds, like, but he won it.
I mean, fucking, who was the boy at Liverpool? A young boy. I think he ended up going to Swansea for 25 million or something.
Oh, is it?
See that wee Juve clue? See that wee Juve clue? Is this fella in the same time frame as Juve?
Nah, I think he was before Juve. I
That's a
forget,
shite
but I
clue
think
then.
he's before Juve.
Is the Rangers
I just
player
mean
Pedro Mendes?
No.
No.
Manish?
Manish?
Something.
No Manish. What was the other one?
Aluko?
Nah.
What was the other player that went to Rangers for Porto? Played in the same team as Manish. It's not him anyway, is it?
It sounds like you're saying. It sounds like you're saying.
I feel like I just made that name up there. Nino Caputo.
Capucho.
It's not him anyway. It's no Kuzan.
Capucho.
I know, it's the way he said Caputo.
So was like, but his name was Nuno Caputo, and I was like, Nuno Caputo. I was like, I feel like I've made that name totally up there.
Do you know that thing is? You've got about 3 hours left of this podcast.
Sorry if you said that earlier, but it was wrong earlier and it's wrong again, so it doesn't really matter.
Give us one more clue, Danny, because we're sinking here.
Right, I'll give you one more clue. Oh, you've got 2 Celtic players and a Rangers player, so do you want nationality? Nationalities will totally get away.
No necessarily. I can't the answer. What about the Spanish defender for Rangers?
No, it's not him. And now he's a prick.
Aye. He's a dick. What was the big French defender that went to Newcastle? No him.
Oh, Bimsong. Aye, Brim Morris just said him. It's not him either.
Samsung.
Samsung. So the 2 Celtic players were signed for English clubs.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm not going to give it. I'm trying to think of a clue for the Rangers player. But I just kind of Google him because I think if I say the club he came for, that'll kind of
signed for English clubs.
I was signed the 2 out. The Celtic players came for English clubs. P. McLaughlin's got 1. You've got another one to give P. McLaughlin.
By the way, there's been good interaction. There's been over 160 comments now. You can see, like in terms of the wee comment box that there's been since you started this. So that's class. Oh my god, why am I thinking about Bobby Petta? Fuck, I don't know.
Guys playing on Faultish just last week.
Starting to
show. Celtic Legends team.
Aye, managed by Gary O'Connor and fucking he'd never played with Celtic. I think Bellamy's wrong.
Jose Katongo was playing.
Aye, Jose Katongo was playing.
You say Craig Bellamy was wrong?
Henri
Rangers
Kamara?
signed this. No, Rangers. We fucking signed him for Wolves, you fucking idiot. I mean, he was an English team, but he was never playing the Rangers. The Rangers. I'm quite sure Rangers signed. Say the guy's name there. I don't know his name. So the Rangers player, they signed him from a French team.
Darshville?
No, it's not Darshville.
They signed him for a French team.
I'm not saying he's French.
Oh, is that Real Madrid guy that played for West Ham? No, am I thinking all wrong here? Remember they signed that fella fucking I can't remember his name, but he turned out to be shite. For them,
Clearly can't remember his name.
Someone will.
Clearly
P.
can't remember.
McLaughlin will. P. McLaughlin, remember his name? He played for Madrid and that. He signed for Rangers. I can't remember his fucking name. Alex.
Wait, so they signed a guy that was at Real Madrid?
But not directly from them. We signed Graverson from Real Madrid, sir.
Aye, that was but Graverson probably shouldn't have been at Real Madrid. Let's be honest.
Oh, fuck.
Aye, what year did they sign this?
What year?
Yeah. 2004. He was a first teamer, was a first teamer, this boy.
Yeah, French.
Was this when? Oh!
He scored against us as well.
So.
Well done. Well done.
Exactly, Ross was on it. I was about to say it too. Unbelievable.
So you are, aye. So you are. So you've got two Celtic players. Both signed for English clubs. By two different managers, so it's not.
Easy clubs. So we can move on.
I'm actually disappointed in you, Steve, that you've not got one of them.
He's got one.
I know, but the two Celtic players.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The two Celtic players left.
All you're saying to these two Celtic players? I'm not kidding.
Two Celtic players left, both signed for English clubs, and I can't believe you've got one of them. Wilson KW has just said them in the comments today.
I can't see the comments. That's the reason why I haven't said them.
Just came up, but it's no Janino either. But Wilson Q has just got one of them, so
it's no Berkovic.
Everybody in the comments, they've all got them now.
It's no Berkovic.
No.
Ooh. What's the sort of era of these?
One of them was probably right there. The guy that I'm disappointed in, Stephen, is probably a wee bit later. Probably right. I'm trying to remember, because if I say the manager, I think I'll get away. But it's probably late early just either side of 2010, probably.
Right.
Around about that sort of time. And the other one's slightly later, around about 2016.
Gary Hooper.
No,
I just
this is bad.
So the first one, P. McLaughlin's just confirmed it's slight. The first one's just before 2008.
First one?
2006 we signed them, apparently. There or thereabouts, one of them.
From an English Premiership team?
Yes. One's for an English Premiership team, one's for a Championship team. There you go. Well done. Cannot believe you didn't see him, Stephen.
No. Did we not sign him from Birmingham?
No, we
Chelsea.
Chelsea? Oh, but he played for Birmingham, I'm sure. Oh, my God.
What's the play that? And the other one we've got left came for a Championship club.
I don't care anymore.
I can't believe you've not guessed this guy yet.
Oh, no.
P. McLaughlin got him ages ago. Sorry?
It's not Chris Commons.
No, a couple have said him, but it's not him. He's still playing now, if that helps. Not with Celtic, but he's still playing.
Fuck. I mean, who for?
If
it's, you can tell.
El Etihad, I think I'm sure he plays with.
El Etihad?
He plays with El Etihad? El who?
Is it El Etihad and the team Gerrard used to manage? I'm confident that's where it is now.
Oh, fuck. I don't know. I have no clue.
Struggling.
What position?
What year
he played
was
with the team. He played round about 2016, I think. He maybe came in there or thereabouts. Everybody in the comments is getting it now. He played for the team that you had called. Has got a good chance of winning Europa as well, Ross.
Denar?
No, but that's the right team, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much for that, Dominic. Musa?
Aye.
Musa Dembele?
Aye.
The winner. The winner. You always remember the last answer. You always remember the last answer.
You never got Yarisic, Stephen, so you're sacked, mate. You're absolutely sacked.
That was a good question. I enjoyed that.
That was brilliant, funny.
I enjoy the questions. They're superb, man. Really test your football knowledge, like.
I have zero, apparently.
It's just how much you talk about Yarisic and you've just.
I love him. I thought he was a brilliant player. Loved him.
You never guessed him.
Mate, all your clue was 2 players to play for Celtic. That's not giving me anything. Do you know what I mean?
It's signed for an English club.
But
anyway.
It's okay.
But we'll bring it back to Celtic and we'll bring it back to the derby at the weekend. And Stephen, we've got away fans back in the stadium, but away fans at a decent number, I feel like. And obviously we had the sort of a token 700 from here and there and time to time and stuff. But now I think the number will be 2,400 or thereabouts. I think it's 4% of the attendance, the total attendance will be there. We all know why it went back to it. We all know why there wasn't any fans there. Fun enough, you touched on the game right at the top of the podcast. The Edward goal, like Rangers will deny it. The media are rewriting history and saying it's down to both clubs, but Celtic have always been very clear and straightforward and said that they're more than happy on umpteen occasions to go back to the full allocation. But you're looking forward to having it's obviously not the full allocation, but it's a step in in my opinion, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, the sooner this gets resolved, the better. I think Celtic letting 7,000 Hibs fans in was basically them showing it can be done again. Do you know what I mean? In that aspect of things, and we all know what happened with us. They didn't like us celebrating and winning titles at their ground and doing all that kind of stuff, and they took the hump and then they cut the allocation. But I think as a spectacle, Ross, especially that with the fans there, it adds to it. In my opinion, I know there's been some great atmospheres without them being at the ground, and look, that's all fair, and that especially the 3-0 game in February. We all remember that one cold night. Hans Postecoglou, his first season, Rio Watate burst onto the scene. The atmosphere was fizzing. It was unbelievable. But I think overall, I think the fixture, in my opinion, not hampered might be a strong word, but there's definitely room for dialogue and discussions to get supporters back in. And I'm of the thought that it needs to be the full allocation, and hopefully the 2,500 they'll have at the ground, and maybe 2,500 or 2,000 we'll have at Ibrox is the wee building blocks in place to get to that again. And obviously, if both clubs hold up their security measures and things like that, we know Celtic invested significant numbers in terms of money into getting the turnstiles updated in a way, fan segregation, the netting and things like that. So Celtic held up their end of the bargain. They didn't, and that's why it wasn't put in place sooner. But the agreement is going forward. There will be fans there. And look, I know in the comments there's people saying I can see them that toilet lives matter, that they're not welcome back in that. But if you're trying to sell a game and you do have to look at it from a business point of view as well, in my opinion. You need both fans there, because the atmosphere that creates, it's fantastic, and it's known all around the world. And I get the hatred that comes with it. I get the singing and stuff like that. But when you're in that atmosphere, and you mentioned it before, Fran, I think it was last week, saying that you and Ross sat kind of near the away allocation, and sometimes it was the best seat in the house, sometimes it was the worst seat in the house, and you just had to deal with them moments. Do you know what I mean? So people are missing out on that. People are missing out going to Ibrox and us winning 5 or 6-0 and having a good time and having a great celebration. The violence and stuff that comes with it, I wholeheartedly condemn, because there shouldn't be any violence at football games or outside the football games. Keep it inside the ground, sing your songs, go mental at each other, and then when the football game's done, leave it at the door, move on, and come on the podcast like ours to vent your anger and frustrations. But no, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully, and we'll get into the result and stuff, it'll be a good game to watch.
Aye, and I'll come to yourself, Ross, and I totally forgot we spoke about this last week until Stephen just
that's fine.
Totally reminded me there. And then, but I think one of the big takeaways that Stephen touched on it there, I think all fans, if we're going to make these steps, whether it gets back to full allocation or not, but to at the very least, for me, any personal, people like Stephen said in the comments, some people are for it, some people are against it. Totally fine with that. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on it, and they'll have their reasons. But for me, I'm only going for experience. When we had our tickets, it was, like we touched on, it was a great seat or a horrendous seat, depending on the result. But I think, like Stephen said, if we're going to kind of progress this and as I say, at the very least, keep this sort of level of away fans at this fixture, both sets of fans need to behave themselves, especially on the ground. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Celtic fans don't chuck things. They do, but at the same time, it does seem more prevalent when we go to Ibrox that things are getting chucked. There is instances and hard evidence there where it's, as I say, not try to gloss over when it's that, because I think it was last year, it might have been Tavernier got something chucked at him. Again, totally unacceptable, but it does seem to happen a lot more there.
Aye, and I think it was Gillian in the comments had put up about
the vape or something.
The vape, aye, that happened last night. But, I mean, it certainly looked like a vape. And by the way, it wasn't one of the wee kind of dinky ones. No, it was a big, heavy, solid vape. If that has somebody, it's taking them out like it's really heavy. But I noticed, I don't know if it was a mock-up or if it was actually real, but I think that Celtic have put some sort of netting up. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think no, I could be totally wrong. I think that's an agreement that both clubs have to do for this fixture.
Aye.
Could be totally wrong, which is a wee bit of a shame that you're having to resort to that.
No, I think that'll probably be right enough, Ronnie. But it's a shame you're having to resort to that. But the last time we had that, obviously it was a smaller allocation than what we're going to be getting when we go to Ibrox this time around. But I think that certainly we need that type of protection, because it's been, as you said, a really good word, by the way, it's been more prevalent at Ibrox. And I think that probably Celtic have, you're not privy to it, but probably Celtic were the ones that pushed for that because of that. And I think that it's a good thing. Listen, it's not great on the eye, and it's sad that it has to happen. But until people learn to behave and learn to respect their fellow human being, I know there's rivalry in that, but I mean, why you want to go out and inflict damage on somebody over a game of football? Do you know what I mean? We all get angry, we all get pissed off, we all say things in the heat of the moment during the game that you probably wouldn't ordinarily say in everyday life. But to lift something out of your pocket and throw it in the direction of a crowd of people or in the direction of a player is just, quite frankly, barbaric, and it beggars belief. But it is the way it is. The nets will be up there, but I'm happy that the fans are back. We've seen quite a lot in recent years, Celtic and Rangers semi-finals and cup finals, and when both sets of fans are in the stadium, certainly half and half, it's absolutely brilliant. And to have them back in the ground, I think when Celtic beat Rangers 3-0, the first time there was no Rangers fans in the ground, and everything that went with that game, what it meant, because it was an opportunity to go in front of them for the first time in the league, and it was the season after they had won the league. That coupled with the fact that it was all very new, not having them in the ground, I think at that time everybody felt it was brilliant. You didn't want to go back to the old allocation, but as times wore on, I think you start to realise that it is needed, and I'll look forward to. Well, I won't be at the game, but seeing it on the telly and hearing it on the telly, and the people in the ground, I think even the ones maybe that are on the fence and are a bit ambivalent and not really quite sure, not really bothered if they want it or not, I think when they're in the ground, especially if Celtic are winning as well, I think that sort of to and fro like the jibes at each other, and listen, all the songs are, some of them are a bit distasteful, but it is what it is. It's part of it, and it adds to the sort of noise level and the spectacle, whatever way you want to look at it. But I think even the people that are sort of not too bothered either way will go on to decide that we're glad they're back, and we're glad that there is opposition fans in the ground, because I think, like Stephen had said earlier in the podcast, I think he mentioned about the allocation Hibs got. Again, I wasn't at the game, but it was good to see that, like say when Hibs got a corner, that big section, certainly in the first half, that big section of support getting right behind them and rousing the players. It's just good to see. It's what you want to see in Scottish football, not only with Celtic and Rangers. I would love to see that at Celtic Park every single time we play with opposing fans. It's not going to happen. But in an ideal world, St Mirren bringing that allocation, it would be fantastic, and it would add to that atmosphere where I think that it doesn't help, because you're playing against teams and they're maybe bringing 300 folk and they're just dotted in the corner. If it was 7,000 fans, again, it would bring that fan interaction between the home and away support, where it's no there now. And that would sort of make the atmosphere better, and guys that maybe didn't want to start a song would be more inclined to maybe get up and join in, even with the songs that are being sung, because albeit it's the two fan groups that are singing it, a lot of the stadium don't then sing along, but that would maybe happen if there was a bigger away allocation. There isn't, but there's going to be in the Celtic Rangers derbies going forward. I think that can only be a good thing.
Nah, I totally agree. And the majority of the comments are in agreement as well. I can't remember who it was. I think it was kind of saying similar to you. You'd kind of touched on it, Ross. It was Paulo67 saying the younger fans should be allowed to experience it. I totally agree. Totally agree, because there is a fan base that have came up, obviously due to Rangers cutting the allocation and even COVID and things like that. There'll be fans that have had season tickets that have never ever experienced that level of away fans, apart from European nights in the ground. But I totally agree. I want it back, and whether it's going to be this number moving forward, it's a lot better than the 700, and for me, a lot better than 0 fans. But we'll just kind of touch on the press conference, but mainly, well, I'll come to yourself first, Stephen, before we talk about players and stuff. But what was it? So Brendan Rodgers, interestingly, was asked about 3 times about Rangers and about their consistency in Europe, and I loved the fact that he just came back and said, well, it just shows how good their consistency is, that we're constantly staying ahead of them. So I just go and answer that.
No, I mean, one of the most laughable kind of questions from that whole interview was, it was a reporter was saying to him, does it show how good Celtic are keeping out a team like Rangers, who are doing well in European occasions so often, in terms of getting the latter stages of the Europa League and getting to the final and stuff? And it's like, how disrespectful. Do you know what I mean? Coming to Celtic Park and doing an interview with a Celtic manager who's won every trophy going, who's just got into the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup, do you know what I mean? Unbeaten in the Scottish Cup, things like that, and they're asking them about Rangers and their form and the Europa League exploits, and it's like, oh, fuck me. The media are trying to do the spin on it again, Ross, this early on already, to say that they've turned a shit season into a positive one. It's incredible how to do that. But, you know, Rodgers, to me, handles things like that like a pro. And I thought the way he spoke, and that he was asked about Barry Ferguson's tactics and changing things, and he basically went into full like Dawn, didn't he? Coach mode and I'm the man here type thing. And he's like, I see no difference. I've seen the team go 2-0 behind at Kilmarnock. They come back from 1. They got beat by Motherwell and all that type of stuff. So, you know, he's got the eyes on the game. He knows what he needs to do. He knows Ferguson is tweaked it to go to a 5 at Fenerbahce. He knows he's made tweaks with the players, and it's like, and I think someone said as well, it's the 8th different manager he's come up against while he's been managing Celtic, who's been a manager of Rangers. So 8 different managers have went against him. Obviously 7 have failed. Barry's the next one in line. And I just thought, for me, the first maybe 6 or 7 minutes of that interview was just totally disrespectful to Rodgers, and it wasn't even about Celtic at all. And for me, the club should really, take a stand on these things and say, if the questions aren't about Celtic, then don't fucking ask them.
I thought Franny was coming in there, but he obviously doesn't really know what to come in on. I thought the way Rodgers handled it as well, I totally agree with you. It was very clever, actually, in the way that the question was sort of tailored to make Rangers look good and how well they've done. And Rodgers quickly turned it and said, basically, well, that just shows you how well we've been doing domestically, because to be coming up against a team who's got to the last 8 a European trophy, that's not easy to go and do that and be so far ahead of a team that is meant to be as good as what Rangers are, because they've got to this stage of the tournament. So we're putting apparently a really good side, a really good European team to the sword domestically. Listen, I know that we've beat them once and they beat us once, but we're winning week in, week out, and they're faltering, stuttering. And he highlighted that, and he also, I thought it was really good. He never really had a dig at Barry Ferguson, but he just highlighted that Ice came in, but nothing's changed. They're still showing the same inconsistencies. They've made a few wee tweaks, but he also sort of caveated it with the fact that to make it look like he wasn't dissing Ferguson, which he probably wasn't, because I don't think he would diss a fellow professional. But he highlighted the fact that it's been a condensed sort of wee period where if Ferguson's in the job for a longer period of time, then the guys will be able to implement the style better. But right now, it's just about making a few tweaks and try and get things ticking along to the end of the season. And it's still the same up and down Rangers team that we're going to face. But it was very clever the way he flipped the question on its head to then praise his team.
And I totally agree with you, and I'll take by your nodding, Stephen, that you said very similar, and I'll agree with you to what you said about Rodgers. I did think it was Mueller had kind of got up there and had to quite make sure everything was all right.
That's it. By the way, I've got a question for you before we go any further, Franny. Are you cold, son?
Did you notice the blanket?
Your wee fleecy blanket on your knees.
I know. It's
so cute.
Ross, he's enjoying himself.
I'm enjoying myself.
But no, I did like how he just, like you said there, Ross, totally flipped that question about it. Like, I don't know, I could see, Stephen, you were desperate to talk about it. It just felt like the first 5 minutes was, what about how Rangers done this in Europe? How they done this? How they done that? It was a weird sort of a line of question he was getting in. Another thing I taken from the press conference, which was maybe a wee bit worrying, Ross, will come to yourself first, and it was obviously Callum McGregor done one. That's the player we're going to talk about now. Even Callum McGregor actually addressed it himself, saying that they would have noticed that he wasn't in training and stuff. He trained away with, like, I think he said, the fitness guys and stuff today. He's obviously got that calf issue. They're going to assess it tomorrow. I think he's training with the squad tomorrow. I think Rodgers and McGregor have both said that he'll train with the squad tomorrow, then see how he reacts off the back of that. So it's, I don't know, maybe it's the worrier in me is looking at it for a negative. We don't know. I can remember obviously the 3-0 game where we obviously played with the face mask. It was never playing, then suddenly he appeared in the starting lineup. Now, I don't think it's gamesmanship. I don't think we were obviously talking about how Rodgers is a clever man, and I don't think he would play the kind of games. I don't think he'll definitely say a guy's out if he's got a chance, but he'll not commit to say the guy's in or out. And I think it is proper on the fence now. And how big a miss could that be for us if McGregor isn't pass fit?
Well, you touched upon the game where he came in with the mask on. I don't think McGregor would be as big a miss in this game as what he would have been in that game that you're talking about there. But of course, he's your captain. He's your leader. He's, as Brendan Rodgers put it, he's how we want to play tactically. He helps with that. So with all of that put together, well, Callum McGregor, of course, is going to be a big loss to Celtic on any game, on any given day. But I think we spoke about it maybe last week, the week before, with Gavin, talking about how we wanted Engels in this game to really show his worth. And that was even without Callum McGregor. Without Callum McGregor not be... How do I put that? That was with Callum McGregor being in the team. I couldn't quite work that out in my brain there. So, I mean, I feel like Engels would... I think he's done it already, even with Callum McGregor in the team, where he wants to be the main man, and he's not disrespecting Callum McGregor by any stretch, but if Callum McGregor's not in the team, I feel like Engels can step up to the plate and be the guy that wants to take that mantle. I think he could fall into that number 6 role. Could he dictate a game as well as Callum McGregor does at the moment? Probably not. But listen, I would like to see Callum McGregor start for Celtic on Sunday. Of course I would. But if he doesn't, it leaves us quite threadbare options off the bench, because you then look at your midfield 3 would most likely be Engels, McCowan and Hatate. Leaves you no much options off the bench. So that, coupled with all Callum McGregor's attributes, it would be a big loss. I think that, for me, I think he'll play, because I think they'll weigh it up. And listen, he's obviously got to have some sort of fitness. If he's totally fucked, then he'll no play. But I think for me that they'll take the risk. If he's maybe 85% fit, I think they'll take the risk on that and start him, because we are so far ahead in the league, and because if he does get injured, then it's not too close to a cup final or that where he can recover. And we'll play games where, of course, you want to win them, and you probably will win them. They're still winnable. I think he's worth the risk on Sunday for that reason, that we've got leeway, if you like, in the league. If we get, I don't know, an hour out of him, then that's fine. And then you bring McCowan on, and it gives you that option for the bench, and you've had an hour of Callum McGregor. I think he'll start, similar to like the Harry Kane one before the second leg with Bayern Munich. But he was like on the fence whether he was starting. I think they got 45 minutes out of him, and he done pretty well. He had a couple of good chances, and then Bayern never created as much in the second half. So if they hadn't took the risk on them, they would have had a full 90 minutes, creating much. So for that similar reason, I think that Callum McGregor is well worth the risk. If we get a half out of him, if we get an hour out of him, it gives you that extra body, if you like, and that if you go into the game and you've not got Callum McGregor at all, even if they don't risk him and he's on the bench, and then he's there to come on, or he starts and he can come off, it's still that other option either way for midfield. Whereas if he's not in the squad at all, then it leaves us really threadbare. So for that reason, I think for the game it is, and the leeway after it, I think he'll play a part in the game.
I do agree with what you're saying, that, and obviously we do hope he's fit. Stephen Upright has a level of fitness for Sunday. I mean, Ross touching it, and I seen you nodding away. It's the bench if he's not available, whether that be to start the game or come on for the bench. Obviously with Bernardo still unavailable, the midfield options aren't looking very good, and if just the way the modern game is, and how far enough talking about how you need to do a lot of running and things like that. It's the midfield three. You generally like to freshen it up with maybe one or two guys, and obviously if McGregor's not there, it's not really giving us that option. Now, some in the comments, everybody's saying they're happy with Luke McCown coming. I think Ross was obviously touching that. It's the midfield three option being an Engels, McCown and Hatate. I don't think is the issue. It's more the bench after that, how strong the bench would be in that position after that. So I think that's where, if McGregor's totally unavailable, I think that's where the loss is probably felt. I say felt more. It's obviously he's a big player in these games and things like that, but it would be the options from the bench if he's unavailable altogether.
I mean, I was not in the way because I agree with Ross to a certain extent, but I would do it probably the reverse way round where I would bring McGregor McGregor on with maybe 30 minutes to go to replace him. McCann. Look, I'm not too worried. I'll give you reasons why. Obviously, McGregor is unbelievable for us, the quarterback. Like Rodgers said, he's symptomatic to the way we play. But there's been occasions this season where he's gone off or hasn't been in the team due to injury. And the midfield came alive a wee bit. Engels, Hatate, or if it's McCann or Bernardo, the play quickens up, seems a bit more sharper, getting in the positions, the final third a wee bit more quicker. And I think what Ross said is bang on. I think Engels can, well, he can because it is his position, the number 6. He can fill in there quite effectively. And we've seen him kind of drop into them positions before and played long passes, play it around the sides of the defence for Maeda to run onto, or Kuhn or Jota now. So, look, I'm not too worried in that aspect of things. I mean, the bench is an issue because if McGregor can't physically make it at all, you're looking at maybe Jude Bonner on the bench and Francis Turley on the bench as midfield options. But then you've got another option where in the 60th minute you can move Schlupp into midfield. You could bring on Taylor for McCann if he's tiring. So, there's a wee bit of versatility within the team to combat different situations. And I agree that, Callum McGregor will be missed, but I'll be honest, in the last couple of Glasgow Derby games, he's been anonymous. He's been kind of pigeonholed in the game and marked out of the game. And maybe that's what Ross was saying earlier about Clementine finding a formula or finding a tactic that suits them to play us at a game and nullify Callum McGregor and his exploits. But maybe something different might be good, and maybe a jolt the Ranger system if you're having Engels and you're having Hatate and you're having McCann coming at you. So there's different solutions. I mean, of course it's a massive miss. He's our captain, he's our leader, and he's a brilliant player. He's adding goals back into this game, but we do have options. I mean, so just remember that you can move Schlupp in one, move Engels up one, take off whoever's being tired for Greg Taylor, put him to left back, or you can bring in the likes of Jude Bonner and Franny Turley onto the bench to make impacts for the last 15 or so minutes if we're comfortable in the game. So, yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I think we're all okay. I think it's actually a good point you make about McGregor kind of being marked out. That has been maybe a criticism laid at Celtic at times. If you mark McGregor out of the game, especially in the last two Rangers games, it almost nullifies us and slows us right down, and we struggle to cope with it. Now, we all want McGregor to be fit and available and starting, but like you say, Stephen, you just never know. Could maybe be a wee blessing. I say blessing disguise, probably the wrong terminology, but could be a blessing disguise the fact that he's not there. Then, because Rangers' game plan might be to try and mark him out the game, and if he's unavailable, like, well, what do we do now? It's not as straightforward as obviously Engels is like the one to drop into that one. It's not as easy as saying going just sitting Engels, because as much as they've got to play the same position, I think they play the position differently, if you like. But just kind of sticking to say the starting lineup before we actually get to the starting lineup, but we'll just kind of come straight back to yourself, Stephen. Just the sort of key battles in these. I think obviously the cliche one is these games are won in the midfield, but is there any sort of for me, I think Sloop will start, but I think Sloop against Cherny could be interesting. Is what probably for me the one that I worry about. Obviously, we kind of spoke off air about Dessers. I think as long as you can somehow manage to keep him on on with Carter Vickers, I think he'll be easy enough, but I think he might get some change out of Trusty. But I think Sloop if Sloop keeps Cherny quiet, I think we'll be all right. Because certainly watching Rangers the other night, it just felt like give it to Cherny and see if he'll do anything. But obviously, I'm not saying look at the key battles for Rangers. Just whatever key battles you can maybe think of for the game.
Did you hear the tactical exploits of Ali McCoy and co-comms or co-commentary? Give the ball to Cherny. Give the ball to Cherny. Give the ball to Cherny. Oh my God. And then when he scored, he was like, "Oh, I don't want to say I told you so." Fuck off, Jesus! Honestly, it is just as you said. You're throwing off shit against the wall. Something will stick eventually. But Tierney is, their danger man. He's 15, 16 goals, 7 assists, I think, in the season. I don't think they'll be able to afford to keep him unless the 16-enders come in and give them a big war chest. That we're all eager to see what they'll get. But Tierney up against Sloop. You talk about Dessers, and I said it all. I said it off air. I'll keep it off air for now because I think I'm just dropping it in. I'm only joking. But like Dessers to me, like I think Dessers is an alright player, to be fair. And like I'll be honest, I think he's better than Alameda. If I'm being honest, I think I've just said it. I might as well, and I always own what I say. And Ross, you said it as well. He scored 22 goals for someone who's meant to be useless. Do you know what I mean? So he has a use in some shape or form. So can't discount these people. His finish was it again? Who was the volley against in Europe where he took it over the top and he Man United? I mean, good technique and good finish. So there's something in there. The other key battles you could maybe say Raskin up against Engels, Diamande and Luke McCann and Connor Barron and Rio Tate. So it's always key in there. It's always, you have to be physical. You have to be up for that demand and that challenge to win the 50-50 second balls in midfield. So there's key battles off the pitch. I don't think any player can really afford to be off it. I know as a squad we're miles and miles better, but we'll have to turn up and be counted. Like the last game, the first 5 minutes, like Ross said at the start of the podcast, we were brilliant, and then it just went poof, and that was it. It was just downhill from there. So we need to keep up our end of the bargain. I mean, if you look at the key battles from our point of view, I think they'll go with a formation that they've done away in Fenerbahce, with it kind of dropped into a 5. So you're looking at, our front three, Jada going up against Yilmaz, who's playing out of position. So there's plenty of scope for Jada to turn him literally inside and out because he's not comfortable on the right side. Daisa Mieta up against Tavernier and again a centre back position. Do you know what I mean? So there's nightmares to be caused, and you've got Kuhn up against Jeffy. I mean, for a left back, Jeffy is not a left back. He's so far left winger. It's unbelievable. His positional sense is fucking horrendous. So if you look at the key battles from a Celtic point of view, if we win them, I think we talk about winning the game comfortably, but if we win them, then there's a potential we can do if we take our opportunity. So it'd be interesting. Do you know what I mean? I look at the back four. Their back four, I mean, Robin Proper, useless. John Suter, useless. Leon Balogun, they think this guy's the best midfielder since sliced bread. He's 42 and can run a bit. That's about it. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing spectacular about him. So if we play to our maximum, I think it won't be a problem.
Nah, totally agree. And for me as well, Ross, I think up front for us will be, it will be big. And if they do play the 5 in the back, it sounds silly, but I think that might play into our hands because Jota and Kuhn might come inside a bit. They like to do it, especially Kuhn does like to do it, and Johnson plays on the overlap. It does do the overlap as well, but if you're coming inside, it might naturally Jeff or whoever's it'll narrow the pitch a wee bit and just leave it open for your Slips and your Johnsons to maybe exploit. And also, if they're doing that underlapping run, the sort of the centre half that's playing sort of either side then has to come out, and it might just leave Maeda in the middle 1-on-1. So I don't know, it might, that 5 at the back, although it sounds defensive and maybe not a lot of space, I think that might play into Celtic's hands as well. I don't know, is there anything new we can maybe see?
Again, it comes down to just like what you're talking about there. It comes down to what sort of formation Rangers. Rangers will know what they're coming up against with Celtic because we're settled and we know what we're doing. That could maybe be to our detriment. I doubt it, but there's a possibility because we don't know exactly what we're going to face with Rangers. It could be the 5 at the back. It could be 3 at the back, like they went with last night. Certainly started off with 3 at the back. I don't know. It's a difficult one. It always goes back to the midfield. Is usually where these games are won and lost. So I think that's always going to be important. I think we have to be up for the fight and win that physical battle. And the home crowd behind is, I think that we can do that. I don't think we'll cruise it as much as we did in the first game earlier in the season at Parkhead, albeit Rangers started off that game quite well, the first 10 minutes, but then Celtic just were and never got out of second gear for the rest of that game and totally cruised it. They'll have to get out of second gear this time to go and win the game. But similar to yourself, I think that the wide areas, most of the time for Celtic, they're the important areas, and it's how Rangers stand up to that. Obviously, they have got their threat in Czerny, and I do worry about that because as much as I like Jeffrey Schlupp, I think coming up against a player with that sort of trickery, I think he might struggle because he's a bit more cumbersome. He doesn't turn as easy.
Could you counter that? It was all right away in Bayern Munich, but
that's true. That's very true.
But I do understand what you're saying, but
we were in a very defensive sort of setup where he was always faced up with the player. I think if we're on the attack and the ball gets turned over and he's trying to keep up with Czerny, that might be an issue. But again, with the home team, the ball is going to get turned over at times, but I expect Celtic to have the lion's share of the ball. And it's going to be, for me, it's probably going to be Jota, Maeda and Kuhn, which is fine. Celtic have done really well in these games with Maeda on the left, but I think he will start through the middle. And Jota and Kuhn, and as you said, with the overlap and runs, certainly on the Alistair Johnson side, Schlupp has shown that he can do it as well. It's really added another dynamic to our game. As much as I like Greg Taylor, and when he came inside, he done things in the middle of the pitch, and he was very good, and he created a lot of good opportunities and goals for Celtic, and he done really well in that position. I think that Schlupp brings... We were a bit more lopsided, let's say, with Greg Taylor in the team because he was coming inside, whereas Schlupp brings a bit more balance and we're doing the same type of things on each side of the pitch. I think that overlap will be key with our wingers coming inside, and as you say, it will narrow the pitch and then they've got that space to run into. But if they aren't doing that, then Jota facing up his man and running at him, I think similar to Czerny on their end, I think he'll get more opportunity to do that than what Czerny will because we're the home side. I think that'll be key. I think Kuhn's pace on the other side and running directly at players, I think the wide areas will, along with the midfield, will be the huge key part. And Hatate as well. I think if Hatate has a good game, then Celtic will have a successful day as well.
Totally. A couple of folk, I've mentioned this is what I know it's annoyed you of late, Ross. Trusting he's to watch what he's doing at corners and set pieces.
I wouldn't say he's a bomb scare. I think that's a bit,
no.
But a heavy statement. But he gets, I said it a few weeks back, he gets too preoccupied with the guy he's marking at corners. He's maybe been spooked with that incident in Dundee where he got bullied by the boy Donnelly, but he needs to try and cut that out of his game, especially in this game, because the officials will be looking for opportunities to give penalties to Rangers, and just don't give them the opportunity. Just defend your area, concentrate on the ball, make sure your man, you're feeling your man, you know where he is. Don't need to be all over him. Doesn't need to be like that. You need to let them know you're there, but make sure that you're concentrated on the ball first and foremost. I'm sure Rodgers will be telling him that. You know what I mean? He's fucking going to listen to me for. He's a better player than me, but aye, it's that's one you have to be careful with, definitely. But I do like Trusty. I think he's a decent player, and I'm quite happy with him now.
No, totally agreeing. On a permo, if this is your first time watching a Friday, this is a norm. This is a norm of it, a 2.5 hour. So get in, and then Wilson queue. This is on till the game starts. Not quite. Ross isn't hosting, so not quite. Might have done it if Ross is hosting. But
you're pushing, Franny. 25 minutes.
I'm doing everything I can to try and not have to upload this onto audio.
Hey, well, keep safe. Help. Right, boys.
As we were kind of talking about the key battles there, Stephen, we'll just get straight into it. Go and get your lineup and the dreaded. Say that, like, we always do the score predictions, but it always feels a wee bit. I kind of also equally hate it in these games, against these games. But if you can get your lineup and your score prediction for Sunday.
Schmeichel, AJ, Carter Vickers, Trusty, Schlupp, Engels, McCann, Hatate, Kuhn, Maeda, and Felipe Jota, and my score will be 3-1 to Celtic.
Ross?
I just McGregor and instead of McCown for me. McCown to come on off the bench. Score. I was going to say 3-1 to Celtic, but since Stephen said that, I'll go 2-0. But no, do you know what? I'm going to stick with 3-1 because I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. And the reason being is in recent weeks, Celtic have gave up a lot of chances. They conceded to St Mirren. They could have conceded I can't remember what game it was, but they could have conceded more in another game. Hibs created a couple of chances. They conceded to Easter Road. So I'll go 3-1 Celtic just because of that.
And you didn't believe me that me and Ross were being telepathic tonight? Unbelievable.
I know. Now I think you give all the answers now, Stephen, earlier on. But I think I'll have the same team as yourself, Ross. And then it's obvious McCown comes in if McGregor's not fit, but I think it'll be the team you said, obviously the one that started next week.
Is James Forrest, is he going to be in the squad?
Rodgers said he's still not available, and then Scales is maybe touch and go as well. I think he's getting checked out tomorrow's one.
I thought he said Forrest was back.
Forrest is back.
I think he says he's back in training, but I don't. I thought he just said he was back in training, but he was just not quite ready yet. But I maybe picked it up wrong. Maybe just
he can stay there. I'd rather have Yang.
I don't know. We'll find out anyway.
I think Yang's Bud's away back game. She's away back game after his carry on last week. He was rank rotten last week. But I know I
stayed it too long. Stayed it too late after the game. Silent treatment all the way back to South Korea.
I'm going to be bold, and you've probably got to hate me. I'm going with James Kennedy. I'm going to 4-0. I'm going 4-0. That'll end up being tight as fuck again. It'll end up being tight as fuck now, but no, that's his kind of. What's this Irishman? Right, Yang got his whole.
He should be ready to go.
Well, maybe you know something we didn't know, Irishman. Maybe you're
I'm not privy to that. My drone's ran out of battery.
Jesus.
James Kennedy, Yang not having a bang. Well, we don't know. Apparently he's his neighbour. Okay, that old chestnut. The neighbour. We know, but
the neighbour in the hedge, huh?
Just the neighbour that went round for a cup of sugar.
Bars and bread.
Keys in the bowl.
But no, that's us kind of wrapped up for this evening. We're looking forward to the Derby game on Sunday. We'll be back on Monday. Some is maybe with sore heads. We'll see who we can rustle up for the game for a wee to run over, which hopefully will be a Derby day victory on Sunday. But have you both enjoyed it? It's 2 hours 40. I'm going to have to upload it to Odo because it's under 3 hours. But have you both enjoyed it?
Aye, really good. Enjoyed it, mate. Well done the hosting the night. And come on the Celts on Sunday. Hopefully we can get it done. Put them to the sword one more time.
Nah, I totally agree. And just hopefully Brendan, I say right's or wrong. I don't think he will look at it in that sense. But hopefully we're on Monday talking about another Derby victory. And just thanks to everybody who got involved in the comments. Thanks for sticking with us. The regulars know that the Friday goes on for a long period. It's never intended, but it just seems to happen. I was sitting at about an hour and 20 minutes saying, I'm getting through this all right here. And here we are, nearly 3 hours in, I'm still here. But no, I love a Friday. But as you're on, Stephen, I think it's only fair that we let you sign off.
That's fair enough. No, but like what Ross and Franny said, we'll hopefully get the job done on Sunday, put them to the sword, and we'll look forward hopefully having a few people on a Monday podcast, maybe McGinty and Anthony Dunn as well coming on, maybe myself. So really enjoyed the night, Franny, and like what Ross said, great hosting, and everyone who stayed with us. We're 42 live, 2 hours and 41 minutes in. That's fantastic. And over the weekend, during the match, watching the game, after the game, everyone stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.